It looks like Mrs. France isn't here, so I'll start the technology committee and turn it over to Mr. Hill.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I only have one item on the agenda tonight. That's the renewal of Otter AI Business Edition. If you recall, last year we purchased a subscription to Otter AI. This is for recording and transcribing our monthly board meetings. I usually sit in the back at the board meetings and I record using Otter AI, and then what I do is I forward that file to Mrs. King, and she uses that to do the transcribing and listen to the board meeting to make her meeting minute notes from that recording. So we did use that for a year, and it works really well. And I did ask Mrs. King as well, and she said yes, she really likes using the software and she would like to continue using it. So 1 year subscription is $720, and last year we had that funded through the school board budget. So what I'd like to ask is if we can put that on the board agenda again for next Monday to continue using that software. So is that, okay, anybody have any other questions? That's all I have.
The kind of meeting I like.
Thank you.
All right, well, I guess if nothing else, we'll pass it on to Mr. Fedorcha for buildings and grounds.
I'll open the meeting up, and I think I'll turn it over to you, Phil.
Actually, it would go to Dr. Link.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone. We had a nice weekend. And tonight, on behalf of the Education Foundation, I invited Mr. Bob Hartman to come and discuss a proposal from the Education Foundation in partnership with Digital Scoreboards. Mr. Hartman is from Digital Scoreboards, and his presentation will be loading up on the screen shortly. To share some information about a potential upgrade to the scoreboard in the Bulldog Stadium in partnership with the Education Foundation, who would like to support this effort. So that being said, Mr. Hartman, if you can kind of share out some information on the scoreboard, option for the stadium, and then also options for baseball, softball, and if we have time for the gymnasium. The focus this evening would be to upgrade the one at the stadium complex.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Link. Thank you all for having me. I apologize for standing behind some of you, but I think it's more important that you take a look at the screen than look at my graying head. So just a little bit about us as a company, Digital Scoreboards, and I'll just give you really quickly about myself. For the past 30 years, I worked in the Whitehall Copley School District. Just retired this summer. I was the athletic director for 23 years. And about 6 or 7 years ago, we got involved with a company called Digital Scoreboards, where we got digital boards on our campus, football stadium, in our track and soccer facility, and as well in our gym. We just built a great relationship with the folks at Digital Scoreboard. So when I retired, I sort of shifted careers, and now I'm a member of the team at Digital Scoreboard. A little bit about us. We're not a mom and pop anymore, but about 10 years ago, our owner, Chris Curran, started with one scoreboard, and now we're up to over 1,000 installations across the country. We're about the third or fourth largest in the country, and no one really knows about us yet. So it's something that we're sort of proud of, that we've done such a nice job in growing over the past 10 years. Our COO is Bob Steckel. Bob used to be the superintendent at Whitehall, so we have some people that are, I don't know, as an athletic director, how much I would say I was involved in education, but I worked in education. Dr. Steckel, obviously very well-versed in that world as well. So we're very keen to the needs and the concerns in school districts. What you're seeing here, board members, tonight, Dr. Link has, and he will absolutely be able to share with you. So I'm not going to try to take up too much of your time, but just go through this process. I was lucky maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago to meet with your educational foundation in this room and talk about some of the things that they would like to see and things that we can offer. And I will tell you, as a company, obviously we're trying to sell our products, which are digital components, shot clocks, scores, tables, wall of fames, all those types of things. But ultimately what we want to do is help schools find solutions to issues that they may have, whether it's in that technology field of scoreboards or whatever may be the case. So we really try to look at situations, find solutions to those situations. Our wheelhouse, quite honestly, is high schools and small colleges. We are not necessarily a professional sports company. We are not necessarily a Division I company, but high schools are our wheelhouse, and that's where we spend most of our time. So our goal is to find solutions for the schools that we work with. Quite honestly, working with Dr. Link, and I know Dr. Steckel and Dr. Link probably started this process over a year ago. Talking, looking at plans. We're still in phase 1 with you all at Northern Lehigh. We would obviously like to proceed to phase 2 and where we can get a contract and begin working through 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and just be great partners with you all. Something that we take pride in is our step-by-step process, again, to make things easy and seamless for the folks in the school districts that we work with. Primarily, as Dr. Link said tonight, we're talking about our outdoor product. If you were here on First Responder Night, either this year or last year, and saw that digital trailer that was here, I just lost.
Sorry, that's me.
Yeah. All right. There we go. If you saw our digital trailer here on site, either this year or last year for First Responder, that was us. That's the product that you would see in a different variation, right? We're talking about a fixed installation. The board I had was a 16-foot by 9-foot board, and I will tell you, what you guys do with that First Responders Night is as cool as anything that I've been around. And I've been on the road quite extensively here for the last 4 months, working with schools, taking that trailer to places. Your First Responder Night, really, really great event and really cool, and it's something that I've not seen at other places. So we're talking about our outdoor product. The quality of the product that you saw that night is the same product that you would get on your football field. 10mm pixel pitch, great viewing, no issues whatsoever. That's what we're talking about when we talk about our outdoor product. There's some additional examples. Again, you can dig in and read these slides. I don't want to belabor them for you, but there's examples of other things in other locations that we've been. Locally, Palisades, Whitehall, Easton Indoor. We're starting installation at Liberty and Indoor, Susquehanna University. Tons of locations locally where you can get out and see our products and see the great things that we can do for you, okay? This is the cool part, and this was the great thing in talking to the Educational Foundation. We talked about our products, right? Our goal is to engage community, and beyond that, engage your students during the school day, right? We have a software that's called ScoreVision software. It's incredibly easy to use, and what you saw on your board at First Responder Night was likely adult created, but we can provide curriculum to students, whether it's a club or a class, quite honestly, 5th through 12th grade, where we can teach kids how to create the content that you're seeing on your boards. There's nothing better than kids creating content, whether it's on a digital board or on a TV in school, where they're learning how to do these things, whether it's a marquee in front of your school, whatever may be the case, and they see that and they say, I did that to their friends. Or they drive by with their parents and say, I created that content. It's a feeling of incredible pride, and it's a curriculum that we really like to help schools with. So kids are doing the work. Kids are creating things. They're creating career pathways, right? They're creating a knowledge base. Our coordinator of education, a guy named Don Goebel, was a high school educator, and this was the class he taught. And we're taking this class and we're trying to spread it throughout the country so that we're not just giving you a scoreboard, we're giving you a curriculum piece so that your students can engage in creating this content, learning how to operate cameras, learning how to operate this technology. So maybe they want to go to school for that, right? Or maybe they want to go to tech school and learn all those things. Or maybe they want to skip all that and just get a great job right out of high school because of the things they've learned. Don has great examples. He had a student who went to USC Film School because of what he did in his class, which is very high level and high achieving. He also has a student who went to college for a semester and said, what am I doing in college? I know this stuff already. And now he works for McLaren Racing. He's director of marketing. He's 22 years old and he makes a lot of money by just having a career pathway. So those are the really cool things that we can do with our software, and obviously things that we want to do to engage your students within your community. From a financial piece, obviously we do co-op, purchasing, co-stars. There's Omni as a national organization, tips, so it saves money on the back and on the front side with your business department, not worrying about the bid process, not spending time and money to go through that. We have co-op purchasing. Here we talk about our educational system. It's how do we empower students beyond athletics? In many cases, how do we get students involved? I know that Dr. Link, your high school administration, every part of your administration feels that when kids get involved in other things, it makes their school day better. So at 3 o'clock when school's over, what are they doing to engage, right? Our DS education is really what that's about. They don't have to be athletes, right? They could be involved and excited about so many other things. We want to empower those students to get engaged, to create content that goes on your boards. Maybe they're running the scoreboard at your events, right? All of those types of things we feel very strongly about, okay? It's real life experiences, skills after graduation, creativity, and again, this is not just athletics. It can be for anything, clubs, fine arts, musical organizations, whatever it may be. Okay? We call that program that we have DS Education. It's a 3-year subscription. We have people on site. They work with your teachers. They provide full-blown curriculum and lessons to help our students get engaged. And I know it's something that the Ed Foundation felt very strongly about. I'm not going to play this video, but this is the young man who's 22 and now makes a substantial amount of money, but went to college for a semester and said, I know more than this and I can go get a job. So when you get a chance, take a look at that and listen to what this young man has to say. We talk a little bit more as well about people that have our products. Hazelton is a great partner with us. They have an indoor board, an outdoor board, a board at their pool. They are amongst our best partners in getting this stuff done. As I mentioned earlier, Palisades High School, these are testimonials. You don't really need to read about me, but that's me. In this packet that you have, when you hit that proposal key, all right, you will see the proposals for every one of your facilities. In your football stadium, you're looking at a 26 by 13 digital fixed construction, exactly in the same location and on the same structure that you currently have. So we will retrofit onto the existing board, which saves a ton of money. Talking with Steve, I think earlier we were talking about fiber and data and a lot of the things that are already done on your campus, which makes it a lot easier. The fact that you have an in-house electrician and you have a tech department that can handle a lot of this stuff will also save you large sums of money, okay? I encourage you to take a look at those proposals to decide if you want to get there. We would love to be partners with you guys. In the proposals, there are 3 different proposals, as Dr. Link talked about. There's a football project that is the primary focus of today. There's a baseball, softball project, and there's an indoor project. So take it, as I talked about earlier with the curriculum, and I don't want to walk away from this without saying this. As the athletic director at Whitehall High School, I would walk into our gym just about every day. My office was near the gym. And every day that I walked into our gym, our phys ed teachers were doing something on that board to engage our students. You may think of this as a scoreboard. I get it. It's going to be used as a scoreboard 3 hours a day, maybe. It can be used as an educational piece the length of your school day. Every time I walked in there, our kids were doing something different. Whether it was yoga or aerobics, or we had heart rate monitors, and the kids would be doing whatever, but their student number was on the screen, and it would tell them what their heart rate was going. There are so many great curricular things. It's a digital display that also can be a scoreboard. Quite honestly, the digital display part of it is the really, really cool stuff.
Mr. Hartman, can you show the renderings and then actually show show the proposals this evening as well, please?
Sure. Okay, so these words are probably going to be pretty small for you all, but I'll show you the renderings when we load it here.
And as Mr. Hartman is loading this up, I would just share that it's more than just football. It's actually everything we do in the stadium, all the sports that we do in the stadium, graduation, our band activities, the Bulldog games. So everything we do in the stadium will have access to this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. To Dr. Link's point, I've been taking that trailer around for the better part of a year, and we had an agreement with District 11, so District 11 schools used it. That was the case last year. This year, I'm the sales guy, and I'm trying to get that out so people enjoy the experience. One of the best things that we've ever done with the board that schools like the most is graduation. Pictures, names, the whole works, just enhances graduation. You guys doing it out in the stadium is still a really cool thing. I wish we did that at Whitehall. We don't do that anymore. We pay a lot of money to go to a facility in the middle of the city that, you know, you can handle it at Whitehall. But putting the graphics of pictures of the kids and their names. We're working with a school right now in New York They do this, they have a marquee, and they're swapping out the marquee. And for them, every graduation season, they put every kid's picture and their name on their marquee, and it rotates all day long. And so they wanted to make sure you could take pictures of the screen, because for the 2 weeks they're rotating these kids' pictures, everybody's driving up, the kids standing next to their picture on the marquee, the parents are taking pictures. Really cool, right? So I went sideways on that, but here you go. So first and foremost, again, this is small. You'll be able to read much better as you open the file. 26 by 13, inclusive of everything except power and data, right? And you guys are in a great situation. Installation, shipping, the whole works, everything. Warranty, 11 years outdoors on parts, 5 years on labor. You do not get that anywhere else in our industry. That's what we feel best about our service and our warranty. We love to see that. The price on the outdoor board is $179,000. This is the rendering. Okay, so you see your truss is still there. That's what the digital board would look like at the football stadium in the new size. Okay, on the existing structure. That is your place. That's not, it's photorealistic. Okay. The second proposal, again, that is secondary is baseball. Baseball proposal is $79,000, as is softball. Okay, here's your new baseball construction, which is really cool. All right, you can see in the background there the bright lights on the top picture. That's where the scoreboard would be. That size, I'm struggling to read it myself. 10 by 10, 10 millimeter pixel pitch. Okay, so that's your baseball structure. As I said, softball, the same. This is what the softball rendering would look like, where your scoreboard would sit over the outfield fence and your new construction and your cool new places. And then finally, indoors. In indoors, we would have a 12 by 7 board and a 9 by 5 board. Indoor pixel pitch is 3.9, okay? Just really quickly, the smaller the pixel pitch is, the closer you can be to see it. Outdoors, a football stadium, no one's generally standing next to the football board, so it can be a lower pixel pitch. Indoors, people are much closer, right? So 3.9 pixel pitch is the industry standard. That's what we're providing there. Also, what will likely be happening in December, PIAA will approve shot clocks. Shot clocks are included to this proposal. And again, I would tell you, the ability to use the indoor stuff all day long is phenomenal. The indoor project, $99,000. That's one side of your gym, what it would look like. And that's on the other side, a bigger picture of the rendering on the other side. Great application, right? When we talk about scoreboards, we worry about, we're spending this money on a scoreboard. I would really tell you, you're not spending on a scoreboard, you're spending on a digital display that your kids can use way more for education than they would for sports. Dr. Link?
So thank you, sir. Part of the agenda as well, like I mentioned before Mr. Hartman started, was this has been an ongoing conversation with the Education Foundation, again, primarily for the stadium project to replace the stadium scoreboard. Would be the first thing that the foundation would want to address. We have 2 members of our foundation with us this evening. Mr. Keegan is the Vice President of the Foundation, and Mrs. Keegan is the Chair of the Capital Campaign Committee. So I don't know if any of you want to share what the Foundation would like to do to support, in particular, the stadium project.
Go ahead.
As Vice President, we received this presentation last month, and we were excited. This is a way to bring our community some positive exposure. And the foundation has offered to the school district that we will support this project with $100,000 from our funds to push this project forward.
So I retired about 3 years ago from public education, and when I moved back into Lehigh County, Slatington, where my kids graduated from and Bob's kids did, we wanted to do something positive for our community. and we addressed Dr. Link and asked him about a capital campaign. And this is the first real public conversation, I guess, Dr. Link, that we've had. And we looked at some specific areas, not really wanting to focus on athletics because we know the opinions that often go with athletics. But what we found as we spoke to donors, they were interested in the athletic complex, not for football, not for particular sports, but because it's the hub of our community. And a lot happens in that complex besides those 5 football home games. You know, we talked about Special Ed Olympics. We talked about the school district hosting a night out with the police department and all the first responders. We talked about graduation. We talked about drum corps competitions. And it really is a well-used space in the community. And we looked at it as through the lens of school and community engagement. And through that conversation, we had a large sponsor that said they were interested in supporting a digital scoreboard along with concession stand, and the foundation agreed that they thought for the benefit of the students, for the benefit of our community, because it is such a well-used space, this was a great opportunity for us to give back to the community that we believe in and the community that educates our students. And so that's why I came tonight. We're very excited about it. The opportunity is not only for that engagement piece, but it's also a revenue generator. And I don't know that if you spoke about that, and I apologize for being late, but there are opportunities to generate revenue through advertisements and partnering with local businesses. It also is a complement to what St. Luke's has done for our school district. Gary's also a liaison on the Education Foundation on behalf of the board, and I said, Gary, do you think the board could cough up the $400,000 to do all the scoreboards? Because I believe our kids deserve it. I believe that our kids should have the same opportunities as every other school district that we all see when we drive around this community, right? So that's why I'm here tonight. I think it's good work. I'm happy that the board was willing to listen to it. And thank you again for the presentation.
Thank you. And if I could just capitalize on a couple things she said that didn't, as Keegan said, didn't go into my head, but we had this discussion about revenue generation. And there's a couple different ways we can do that. We can absolutely help the Northern Lehigh School District with revenue generation, but you have a very good, viable organization with a capital committee that you have, and if you choose to do it yourself, that's fine. But if you choose to get assistance from us, we have a part of our company that does that. They're engaged at Catasauqua. Catasauqua has a number of awards, so they're going to go out sell product, sell advertising in Catasauqua for the Liberty School District. They're going to do that, and that's just going to continue to grow. So that's one thing that we can do. But the other thing she had asked me at the Ed Foundation meeting, that was a great question. She's like, so football 5 nights of the year, what else are we doing? As an athletic director, I know that criticism, like this is for football. Football happens 5 nights of the year, but field hockey games, track meets, soccer games probably happen 60 nights of the year, right? And I always just like to say this, and I believe it's true in this community because I've been here. There's nothing more that brings people onto campus than Friday night football or athletic events or Special Olympics, right? And to be able to galvanize the community and engage the community, that's what we're trying to do. If you were at the event, first responders, you may have seen some guy walking around with a wireless camera projecting onto the screen. That was me, but that's what you can do. And you can have students do that. We did the marching band, we looked at the cheerleaders, we looked at the student section with a wireless camera that is really insignificant in the big picture. So it was engaging the kids, engaging the community. She made some great points. We're willing to help any way that we can. I would say this to Dr. Link. If any of you want to see additional products in action, we can organize that and get you to different places if you'd like, whether it's Whitehall or Catasauqua, places that are close. We can help you get on site if that's a direction you also want to take it, to see it in action.
Dr. Link, I have one more comment, I apologize, is the mission of the Education Foundation, which I was one of the original charter members in 1999, was really educationally focused. And we also found that this particular solution offers CTE pathways to our kids. And right now, through public education, career and technical education is a big part of what opportunities we can provide, such as technical education, And I know that you mentioned that as well. So I didn't want to not say that to all of you because it is a lot more than just athletics and bringing community together. There's also a huge educational component that's involved with this.
Thank you. Yep, thank you all. If you could maybe just sit tight for a little bit, and we'll open it up to questions from the committee on the proposal, again, focusing on the stadium, knowing that the Education Foundation is committing $100,000. I don't know, and that's a baseline of that $100,000 because we still are in talks with 2 other potential donors that could, put substantial money towards this project or other projects. Mrs. Moltoris, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what that money in, money out would look like, or?
So it's kind of, we would have to put up the upfront cost for it all, and then the Education Foundation would reimburse us, kind of just like we're doing with St. Luke's. So we put that every year you approve that transfer from the general fund over to the capital reserve when I get that payment from St. Luke's. So it's the same philosophy as that. We would put the money into our capital reserve account, which is used for big time purchases. We would pay for this out of that. And it would just be a refund back to the general fund then as we get their money into us.
Thank you.
How would we avoid the bidding process by using? Is this because it's a very specific item, or?
We're certified through CoStars.
CoStars.
And Omnia, which Omnia is national, right? CoStars is Pennsylvania specific. We work, quite honestly, many of our projects go that route because we have an inventory of different packages. This is a 26 by 13. This is standard for us. 29 by 16, 30, so on and so forth. So we list those all with CoStars, and that's how we look through that process. Yeah, it's a seamless process, and again, it saves you money on the business side of it, time and energy.
So, while reading through all that, obviously, I'm blind, I can't read half of that up there. Does any of the scoreboard packages include anything with audio? Because if you've been to a Friday night game, some of our audio, especially with our referees, are not good, to say the least.
So this package does not include audio. I will tell you that we can do audio. We do it in a number of different versions. One, in a stadium, we call it distributed, where we put speakers on the light poles. The other one, we do through, if you would look at that example that you see up there, you see Bulldogs in the truss. We would put speakers behind a truss, screened in truss, say Northern Lehigh or Bulldogs or whatever. You wouldn't see the speakers, but they're there and they're coming through. So we can do it. These proposals do not include that.
You'll see as we look at our total capital campaign projects moving forward, one of them is a new PA system at the stadium. Because I agree, when you hear that, I was there Saturday evening, and the official probably should have threw a flag on our PA system because it was struggling.
Yeah, and speaking of that, how about that game Saturday night with the NL Philly special?
Awesome.
Shout out to the high school team, good job. Go Dogs.
Any other questions or questions, thoughts, input?
So is there a timeline that you're looking at to have this done?
So, best case scenario, which I believe is doable, is we integrate this into the 26-27 school year budget, but with a commitment that early on that we're going to move forward with this. Like Mrs. Molatoris already shared, we already have funds in capital campaign, capital reserve that could be issued for projects like this or access for projects like this, and then that gets backfilled through the foundation. Along with this, we're going to also have to look at turf and track at the stadium as well. So this may be a year that we want to do an overhaul of that because turf and track are also going to have to be done. And I would propose that we work all that into the 26-27 school year budget. And those other stadium projects we'll be able to talk through as we kind of go through, but that would be an ideal timeline. And it is possible to get it all done for the start of the fall season.
From our perspective, from contract signing, we're 8 to 10 weeks. Obviously, the sooner you get a contract, you can pick your date, right? Everybody wants their stuff installed in the summer, right? So the sooner you come under contract, you can call your shots, whether it's after graduation, after July 1st, new budget cycle, if it's before graduation. Once we get on site, we're in and out in a week, right? 1 day to travel on Monday, 3 days to install, and on Friday we train you, and we're done. So the timing is really incumbent upon you, but we're 8 to 10 weeks from contract signing. So the earlier you do that, the easier it is for you to pick your installation slot.
So the proposal for the stadium, what was the dollar amount? 179?
179, I believe it was.
Okay, 79,000.
I see numbers so much every day, I apologize,
So the
I'm not good at
foundation
remembering.
already has $100,000 that they're committing to that, is that correct?
Well, the donor would do installments to the foundation, which then would pass through to us.
Okay. And there's an opportunity to possibly have more donation come
We
through?
are in talks with 2 other donors, which we are hoping will be very significant as well. But those talks are ongoing. And then just one other thought is, if we sell advertising up on there, right, almost like running commercials when we can do it before games, after games, that is also a revenue generator, which would go to the foundation and then pass back through to help pay down the costs.
So right now, we're looking at just the stadium.
My recommendation would be start with the stadium. If the school board is interested in bundling it, so you can do maybe the stadium and the new baseball softball complex. I think each board at the baseball softball complex, each one was $80,000. Which then you are talking about, quite honestly, for those, that would absolutely have to come from the 26-27 budget. We're right now also, and Sherry's been very public about this, we've all been very public about it. We talked a lot about our fund balance over the years and what are the different projects that we want to put it towards. Whether it's this or not, fund balance is going to be a conversation going into that budget.
So basically then, we would need to put into the budget approximately $80,000 from the school district.
Well, it would be $179,000, right?
But we're gonna get
But then we would get back
So we're-
at least $100,000
So we're still looking at about $79,000 to $80,000
for that
in the
project.
budget for next year,
Correct.
before we have anything else on the budget.
Correct.
Plus the fact that we're also looking at the possible major need would be the turf and track that would be coming along. That would be part of our cost that we would have. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I would love to see what other donations might come through before we really nail this down. I love the idea. I think it's great.
It's a great idea.
I just don't like the price tag of everything, of course, So I would like to see what other donations we might receive before we really make a hardcore decision on it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it's a great addition to the district, but we also have to be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. So as good as it is, I think we have to be smart about it. If we get a decent amount of donations and it makes sense, then let's do it.
Right, kind of like what happened with our flooring for the high school. We got a significant grant for that, and it really helped to offset a lot of the costs. I'd like to see what we can, have with that too.
Sure. Okay, then we will continue to gather information, we'll continue to work with the foundation, and we'll continue to give updates to the school board as updates become available.
Thank you.
I have one other number I want to correct that you brought up today. You said 5 home football games. If you're from Northern Lehigh and you're a Bulldog, we make the playoffs and we get home games. We get more than 5 games a year.
That's fair.
Remember that. Don't forget that.
6 or 7.
Dr. Link, as we start to, planning season's already starting, obviously, for next year. It'd be helpful if you could start sharing with us what some of those larger dollar spends are going to be, kind of ahead of time, or even what is our plan for just general I call it general maintenance, but it's not general maintenance because this stuff costs money. But when we talk about buildings and grounds, I feel at times we push it to the side and it becomes an urgent fix versus a plan. And we tend to spend a little bit more money on the urgent fix, which then puts these types of projects on the back burner because we're not planning for some of that. So I'd love to see as we start to really lay out that plan, what does that look like? Because I'm not sure that we've seen a full detail of what that is yet. We're getting pieces of it, but there's certain things that are in our buildings that educationally wise, our students are in every day. Our students and staff are in our buildings every day that need to be repaired. And I'd be amiss to say, I understand the scoreboards, I love them. I'm the first person to say athletics is great and let's spend money on it because I think it really does bring community and education and all of that together. But we're really missing out on some of those repairs at our building that we have to spend a little bit of time on. So I'd like to see a little bit more planning around what that is.
Sure. So, as you know, as you're aware, we started building walkthroughs with board members that were available this past weekend, 2 weekends ago, rather, 2 weekends ago. And every year, as we really start the budget process, which really kicks up in January, we put as part of those presentations a multi-year plan. This year, we're actually going to present you with a 10-year plan. Now, that's not ready because we're still collecting numbers, and you'll see one of the projects is, actually a couple of the projects are further down on this agenda. But that 10-year plan, when it's ready and we're ready to say, okay, this is as accurate as it's going to get, it will be released.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
I would also like to remind the board and the audience that if Harrisburg doesn't get their act together and pass a budget, and I know I say this at every meeting, we're going to dip into that fund balance, we're going to not be able to invest money, we're going to lose interest money, and it's going to cost us a lot of money. And our fund balance could look entirely different in a few months if they don't get their act together out there and get something done. And so if you know anybody out in Harrisburg, either party, either side, tell them, come on, let's go, guys. So.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Keegan. I appreciate you coming to present to the board tonight. Thank you. Okay, up next, I'm going to turn it over back to Mr. Mann to talk about the stadium parking lights and the other agenda items on the Buildings and Grounds agenda.
All right, thank you, Dr. Link. So next on the agenda is the stadium parking lot lights. We did get a proposal to replace the lights. The proposal that we did get was $19,000 to replace them all. Right now, we're more or less looking to the board as, do we want this as an urgent fix and get approval to fix it, or do we hold off and run it into the next year's budget? There's other items on this later down on my list that I think are more important than the lights. So if you want, we can come back to that once we talk about the other ones down lower. Okay.
I think we should come back to that.
Just out of curiosity, Chris.
Sure.
How long ago were those lights replaced?
So I think it was part of the 2018 or 2019 project.
Okay. Is there any kind of warranty left on it? I imagine I didn't think so.
No, most LED lights, the majority of them are about a year is what they get warranties for, only because of the complexity of an LED light. They don't give them warranties anymore. It's the electronics. It's tough to get electronic warranties that go real far. Even your home TVs, you don't get the warranties anymore.
Do we go back old school to incandescent lights for the parking lots?
Well, if you could get them and you're not paying an arm and a leg for the lamps or the ballasts for them, yeah. But they did last a lot longer, than these, but yeah.
Do you have more than one proposal?
As of right now, we have one. We have one proposal, yeah. Again, if we get direction from the board that you'd like to wait and hold off, ultimately we could do an RFP for the lights too. again, that would push off, the fixing of the lights. At a minimum, you're looking at a month just for the proposal alone.
We don't have a lot of sports going on like through the winter that are using the stadium, right? Okay, good. Because I drive up that way, and even tonight, I see how dark it is getting there, and that is kind of concerning. But if it's something we can, maybe wait a little bit on.
Just to add to the lighting thing, I noticed actually the last couple months, actually, there's one of the flagpole lights out front of this building is flickering.
The in-ground?
The in-ground lights.
Okay.
There's just one. There's two of them. One of them's good, the other one's not. Just to throw it out there.
Thank you.
So next is the storm drain repair. So we had some erosion that happened around some of the storm drain boxes. Right, we have two of them out at Peters and one of them at the library here at the high school. We went to Bellevue Pumps, so we got a proposal from them to repair all three of them. For the repair of all three of them is going to be $3,600. That will be paid out of my buildings and fund money. So with the approval, or any questions first?
That's something that almost has to be done.
Yes.
Let's be honest about that.
It's just there will be no stopping.
That's one
It's just going
cost
to
that we
continue
need to
to
absorb.
erode, correct.
I think we should go with it.
I'm fine, I appreciate we need to do the storm repair, but this is a consistent comment that I have. Is there a reason why we only go to one place for a quote?
For this particular, so if we're able to use CoStars, we'll go through CoStars because they've already been on the state approved list. For here, we did two, and one of them just wouldn't respond. And then Bellevue, actually, was it two or did we do more? We did two. One of the contractors just kept saying, okay, I'll get there. Weeks, never came. So then we reached out to Bellevue and they were there
That day.
This isn't one of the high dollar ones, but I look at the stadium parking light, same thing. Telling us that you're doing that, or if it's CoStar, or if we've gone to three, might be helpful, because immediately I'm going, no, I'm not gonna pay $19,000 for lights if we've only gone to one place. So that, just something to think about when we're talking in these high dollars. How do we get to these numbers to continue to be fiscally responsible? These repairs need to happen, I get it. But how do we know we're not just going to somebody we know?
Well, in order to get bid or proposals, and you go through CoStars. So CoStars, they have to be approved by the state. You and I just can't say, well, we're going to become CoStars and put out a proposal to be CoStars. You have to be approved. So there's certain criteria that they have to meet in order to be approved. When you go for an RFP, any contractor can bid on that. They don't necessarily have to go by Pennsylvania rules in order to make that proposal, where a CoStars member would. I'm not saying that they're 100% of the times they might be the lowest, but they're gonna be real close. The majority of school districts use CoStars or KPN. There's a couple of them. He had another one, just because it does save you time and money to go through CoStars than to do the full RFPs.
Did we come, I don't want to back up, but did we come to closure on the stadium lighting?
We put that off right now.
That's going to be put off, okay.
So we're still.
That would have been my thinking, but I didn't know if we ever.
So right now, the major issue is
Very good.
the $3,600.
The 36 is fine.
For the store, and as I said, I think that's almost we need to do. I don't think there's an
And I
exception.
honestly think it's a reasonable price considering what I saw in that walkthrough, and we have three of them to do. I think Bellevue's really giving a good deal to the district. I think they do a lot of work for the district, and they're kind of giving back a little bit there, so.
So if the board has no objection, we'll put that on the agenda and go with it, sir.
Thank you very much. So next on the agenda, with the high school chillers, that was brought up last month. We will have 3 contractors that we're looking for proposals from, along with the CoStars proposal from McClure. As soon as I have those in hand, I will reach out to the board because we'll need a board approval then to pick which one we want to go with. Next on the agenda is the GPS. So we use Samsara to monitor our buses and vans. So it came up where we have the school vans that the school now owns, which we rode around in. We don't have GPS units on those vans. We would like to purchase, it would be an additional 6 units. So that would give the 2 school vans and the 4 additional buses that we have in storage that we use as spares. So if a team has to leave the school during bus transportation, they use one of those buses to transport the student on a sports trip. We can't monitor that. We don't know where that bus is. We don't, So with this, we would have the 2 school vans that we can monitor, as well as the 4 spare buses that we have on site. So we would have 100% tracking of all our vehicles. So it would actually be put into the transportation budget next year. This year, it would cost $1,497.60.
For this year.
Just for this year, and then next year would be an additional $746 into
the budget
to monitor those 6 units. So you're paying for the unit cost as well as the monitoring.
And in our others, we do have this GPS, and
The same
really,
exact thing on all our buses, yes.
as I look at this, again, it's 14,000 is a lot of money, but it's not when you consider that this is a safety
Correct.
and a security for our students, that I think we'd be amiss not to look at it.
Right, and just for point of clarity, it's 1,400, not 14,000.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
14,
yeah.
yeah.
My eyes are all bad. Yeah, you're right.
We don't care how you spend our money.
So that's not coming out of your budget, would it come out of fund balance? Or where it comes
It's
from?
transportation budget.
Oh, okay.
Budget balance.
Okay, cool.
Yep, so it'll be transportation, so this is going next year, this will be put in his budget.
It'll be
going
part of his
forward.
budget.
So, Mr. Van, I have a question with that.
Sure.
The current GPS units we're not paying for, are we paying for all of them now? Or is that bundled with our transportation contract?
So that's all bundled onto
Okay, so
transportation
these are
side.
for our own personal vehicles that...
Well, no,
these
it'll
are
be bundled
extras.
in with it, these are
Okay.
extras on top of it.
Okay. all
Yep.
right. Thank you.
So again, my question to the board is, any objection to going ahead with this $1,400 for 6 GPS units? Any questions not to go on it? If not, I say put it on the agenda and go with it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Portabarcia. Last on my agenda, a couple weeks ago, the heating system out at Peters Elementary went offline. We have no control of any of the heating systems out at Peters right now. We brought in a company who actually does our controls and our software side to fix the problem. They have no more units to add on to what is already out there, so we have to do a full system rebuild. With this rebuild, it would bring Peters Elementary on the same speed as our other 3 buildings up here, Slatington, the middle school, and the high school. Right now, we can't see what's going out at Peters. It's a standalone system out there. I can actually manipulate heat in every room in the high school, the middle school, and Slatington. Peters never made that upgrade. With this, it would make that up to the same as all the other 3 buildings. Without this upgrade, Peters will not have heat this winter. So I'm looking to the board for approval. So right now, the talk has been to pull the $23,884 out of the fund balance in order to save the rest of my budget for more smaller fixes that are needed throughout the year. Is that okay, Sherry? Or Mrs. Baltor?
How soon can they do that?
So we've already spoken to them. It's a total of a week from start to finish. Right now, we told them to start working on the software side. There's at least 2 to 3 days of nothing but software and not manipulating, but just software building before they can even get on site. Once they get on site, it's another 2 to 3 days on site. So you're looking at 5 to 6 days from start to finish.
We don't have a choice. Yeah.
Sherry, what is the current state of the fund balance, Mrs. Walters?
18, we have a little over $18 million. And the auditors were just here this week to finish up our audit, so I'll know what we've either added or subtracted from there. I don't think we're gonna be subtracting, I think we're gonna be adding again, so, it's at least 18 million.
And I think when we looked at the entire project that we were looking at as far as the whole school complex, we also realized that if we do not go with all that, we were going to have problems in our buildings
Fix these
that's still
items.
going to have to be funded, whether we, and we did not do that, and that's great, I mean, at this point. But the point I'm saying is, we still knew that these buildings were going to have major problems that needed to be addressed and needed to be funded. And I certainly don't want our children not to have heat in the wintertime.
So, and to add on to that, because there is an HVAC upgrade out at Peters that's gonna be needed in a couple of years, the new system they install will handle that upgrade.
Okay.
So it's not something that they're just throwing in there and just to hold us over. They've looked to the future, so that it'll be prepared if down the line we do a full HVAC upgrade out there, these controls will handle it.
So we're circumventing some extra costs that may come along later on.
Yep.
I like that. It's a high price, I know, but our kids are important.
Is temperature feasible in Peters Elementary right now? I'm just curious if you don't have heat. Just making sure that it's appropriate for students and staff.
Feasible, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luckily, we haven't really had those super cold days yet. So I mean, it's probably cold in the morning, but as the day rolls around, it probably warms up.
Mr. Mann, I know you said how long the process takes, but when can we actually have this done by?
The exact date, I don't know. I know they're working on the software now. I have not heard back from NRG as to if they have all the hardware in stock yet.
Okay. Can you, so I'm really encouraging this committee to move forward with this for children and employees out there, like, let us go with this. But Mr. Mann, can you find out, try to find out when will they actually be in the building?
Sure.
I think we need to know sooner than later if there's an issue to do
Before it
it.
does turn cold.
Yeah,
Is the committee comfortable with this moving forward?
Yes.
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 We move forward and put it on the agenda,
Yes.
not move forward with the project. Let's be careful how we say that, so.
So you're comfortable with
Putting it on the agenda.
putting it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with us continuing the process to prep it?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's my question.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
What's the contingency if NRG doesn't have all the parts and we can't get it till January? When are we gonna find that out?
So when I first talked to NRG, there was no problem in getting the parts. I just didn't get an exact date as to when.
All right,
I'll
I
have
just wasn't
everything.
getting a warm and fuzzy from you. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
No.
You know, I'm sure those kids want warm and fuzzy and you weren't giving it to me.
Yep. No, it's actually stuff that they normally keep in
Okay.
stock, so I would not be surprised. Again, don't hold my word to it, but I would not be surprised if they don't have everything in hand already.
Got it.
Okay, very good. Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
Well, and with that, we can go back up to the stadium lights. So looking, again, for the direction of the board, as to where you want to go with the stadium lights. Do we want to put them off?
I believe the question was that we wanted to know what else, or am I correct with some of the questions that were before we move on that?
I would probably put it off and maybe see if we can get another 2 quotes
Yeah,
Okay,
in the meantime.
sure.
because you don't need to bid it, because we just need 3 quotes,
That's what I
because we're
thought.
over the
That's just my-
municipal,
that's just my
but
opinion.
it's under 22, I think, it's 22 and change. And we think we'll probably,
1941, sure.
right, we'll be under the 22, so you can get 2 more quotes.
So if the
Would
board's
rather-
not objecting to Mr. Mann to continue to work on that, and that keeps, we keep that on the top of the list though. Because
Absolutely.
it's something that's needed. Agreed? Okay. So
I
you have your
appreciate
motion.
everybody's input. And with that, I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will ask the board, any other questions on any of the items? Seeing none, then I will close the meeting and move on to finances.
And I will turn it over to Nikki for the food service.
Good evening. All right. So Cedar Crest has sent a dietetic intern to Northern Lehigh once again, who will be shadowing me for the next 5 weeks or so, give or take 5-6 weeks. So she is in her dietetic internship. She has to go to different rotations, and we are the lucky site that she selected for her food service rotation. So if you see a new face, likely it is Olivia. So she'll be with us through like the first week of December. Also, if you remember last committee meeting, I had brought to everyone's attention that our registers, so all of we have 8 terminals, 2 at each cafeteria where we ring up our students' meals, and those computers and monitors need to be replaced. Our computers specifically are not compatible with the Windows 11 software that was installed on, all the devices throughout the district over the summer. And we did receive a quote back. It is CoStar approved from a company called GDC IT Solutions. Our IT department actually sought out this quote for me. And for the HP computer part, $985.39 is the base price for the computer itself. And we were planning to purchase 9 units because we like to have that extra one as a backup. So each school would have 2. So that part of it would total $8,868.51. The monitors are separate here, so $357.45 a piece, totaling $3,217.05. And then the total between those two for the computer and the monitor would be a grand total of $12,085.56. I also, if you remember, looked into a barcode scanner pin pad combo device to where we scan the students' barcodes as they come through the line to look their account up, or the pin pad. So it's like a 2-in-1 combo device that are just a higher quality than what we've been using all these years. The ones that we've had since I started here and even before, we just have a lot of complaints with the cashiers, them not just dysfunctional for us that slow down the speed of service. So these are just a better quality. I did get an updated quote for Alpha Tech barcode scanner and pin pad combos at $265 a piece. Again, we would want to do 9 of those for $2,385. So between all 3 items, it would be just shy of $15,000, so $14,470.56, and that would come out of the food service account. So I would just be looking for the board to agree to move forward with that purchase.
Does anybody have any questions for Nikki? Hearing none, I say go ahead, we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay,
And then you can purchase.
Thank you. And just a couple other quick updates here. We have our Thanksgiving meal now that we're officially in November. We usually put it 2 weeks before our break just to, not have too much Thanksgiving meal all around the same time. So it's a little bit earlier than expected, but November 13th. So a sign-up form went out to staff just to inform them of that, because a lot of times the staff will also dine with us that day, so we look forward to that. Also, we're doing another filling sale this year where we sell 2.5-pound containers of our filling that our staff makes for $8 a piece. So a sign-up form went out about that. It was a Google form. So if anyone's interested and did not get that form, please feel free to email me. Just a quick update, this number actually, as of today, is already outdated. So instead of 86, we're at a flat 90 students district-wide participating in our Backpack Buddies program. We are anticipating, I just wanted to share that we have seen already some increased meal participation in both of our programs, breakfast and lunch. And likely we'll see an increase in our Backpack Buddies numbers with the fact of, SNAP, the reduction in SNAP funding that started this month. So we're prepared for that. I just had a meeting with my staff earlier today to talk about that. And lastly, myself, Dr. Stoker, and Mr. Schneiderite met last week to get through the Farm to School grant application. It has not quite been submitted yet. Working out, some final things with that, but up to $15,000 we are asking for specifically Peters Elementary is the school within the district that's eligible for this grant, just to look to partner up, help us partner up with local farms, use those funds to purchase some fresh produce, possibly build a component in with nutrition and agriculture education in the classroom, taste testings, potentially, field trip opportunities to the farms, things like that, and of course featuring the local produce on our menus. Outside of that, I think that covers everything from food service. Any other questions about anything?
So the grant, if you have a date to submit for November 15th, when would the dollars be available for you to use?
Good question. I want to say when we come back from winter break.
Okay.
I believe it's a 2026 grant, so I believe it's calendar year, not school year.
Okay. Yes. And then you could use as you see fit for doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually it takes a little bit till they select the schools that get awarded for this grant.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would be for next school year, but you're saying it's for a calendar year. Okay.
Hopefully we get selected.
Hopefully.
We do, yeah. I mean, you've got two local places very close here, and there's some other farms that are actually in
there's a lot.
northern Lehigh too that may be able to participate.
Yeah.
I hope we get it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's terrific. Anybody else have any questions for Nikki? Then I guess we'll go to Sherry.
Thank you. Just a couple of things that we have listed on the, looking for approval to go to our board agenda on Monday evening. So the first one, President Green kind of threw this bone out here a little bit ago, so we're going to talk about it now. Resolution for the budget impasse. So on the board agenda Monday evening, we're recommending, PSBA has sent out a resolution to all school boards urging legislature to pass a budget. There are some school districts who have already had to go out and seek money in order to make payroll and pay their bills. So we thankfully are not in that position at this point in time, but depending upon how long this takes, this could start to affect much more school districts. So this is a copy of the resolution, and we are asking for the board to grant us permission to put it on the board agenda for approval Monday evening. With the hopes that if something miraculously happens this week, we will pull it, but who knows? Who knows? The state is, never know what's gonna happen there, so that's what we're looking for that state budget resolution.
Anybody have any objections to putting this on?
Unfortunately, it seems like we gotta.
Go for it.
Thank you. The next one is two resolutions. We do these resolutions every year. This is to Lehigh County and Northampton County. It's the resolution that we send to them, directing them not to collect our delinquent real estate taxes. Last month, you approved Portnoy as our delinquent tax collector. So legally, we have to send a resolution every year to these two counties, letting them know that they are not to collect our delinquent real estate taxes. So just giving you the heads up that those motions will be on Monday evening for approval for those counties not to collect our delinquent real estate taxes.
Sherry, several years ago, there was an issue with, I don't remember which county, who,
Northampton.
was it Northampton? I thought it was Northampton, but I didn't want to point fingers.
Yeah.
That they wanted their money even if they didn't do it.
Correct, and
That's
that
gone
has,
away?
yeah, that,
Okay.
we haven't heard over that for about 2 years now. So I think has lost its footing and is no longer out there, yeah. Administrator travel insurance, every year this is also a board motion that goes on. It is PSBA has a policy that protects us as administrators when we're driving to and from meetings and anything outside of the district, and it covers us for in case anything happens accident-wise. So it is $15 an administrator for that insurance per year. So that's always on the board agenda every year. Just wanted to let you know that that will also be on the board agenda again this time. And the last one, our auditors were in last Thursday, Friday, and they finished up today. I now play my waiting game where I will sit back and wait for my journal entries to come, and at that point in time, I'll be able to complete my AFR, which has to be done by November 30th. After that, I'll complete the MD&A, which is the management discussion and analysis to our financial statement. It's paperwork that I submit on the financial reporting of the district, notes. And then I will send that all back to Gorman and Associates, and then they compile that book, the end of year financial statement. That should be here probably sometime towards the end of December or the beginning of January. So once I get all my numbers back, we will also do the board motion for assigning our fund balances then. That normally happens once I get all my audit reports. So hopefully I can have that for the board agenda for December.
When do you expect in order for you to do your November 30th, so you have all that information you need before then?
I asked him today, I said, please tell me you're gonna get me this information. He said, I will have you your journal entries by the end of the week. He said it might be another week or so until they get me like the trial balances and all those ends so I can compare my system to their paper documents. I will probably be working over Thanksgiving break in order to get my AFR submitted by November 30th.
Are they later than normal?
Yes, they are. They are later than normal. I'm going to tell you that was on me. I had a cruise planned the end of September when they always come, and the earliest they could get me in was the end of December, the end of November, end of October, beginning of November. So I said to them, please put me back in September next year. So, yeah, that was on me. So I take the plan that I have to work over Thanksgiving to get everything done, but I had a nice week's vacation. Thank you all.
So they haven't, they usually don't find things, but.
No. We've had very clean audits for many years, so.
It's not always been the case.
I know that. I know that. I am very grateful for the way we have.
The last couple of years anyway.
Yeah, the way our district has passed the audits. So,
Thank you. And that is all I have.
That's all you have?
That's all I have.
Anybody have any questions for Sherry? No, I just look forward to finding out about the fund balance and how we can, like Gail said, plan for the future for any repairs and things that are absolutely needed in the district. So hearing nothing else, do you have anything to say, Matt?
No, once you want to close this one, I just want to note that I did miss somebody on the agenda for technology that wanted to speak. Mr. Alex Lee wanted to speak on technology, so I'm very sorry for that. I overlooked you, Mr. Lee. So if you want to close out this committee, maybe we can cede some time back to Mr. Lee.
Sure. No objections, we will close this committee. We'll turn it back for the technology.
Mr. Lee?
I just wanted to bring up a concern about cameras. Being as I've worked here, plus I have children here, we do have a lot of blind spots. In particular, here at Slavington, there is a camera that does show the playground. You only have maybe 2% of the playground viewed because of the tint. So if there is any incidences or stuff like that, you really can't look at cameras. And I think maybe we should look at adding more cameras so we don't have this issue. Because if we do have issues, we can't see videos or anything like that. And there are issues that pop up sometimes. And it would be nice to have video proof of everything. So if we could look into that, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, and I will take that to Chief Jones, our safety security, as well as IT. They work together for camera locations and placement. So, thank you. And I believe we're up to education.
I'd like to open the education committee meeting, and Dr. Stelter, you ready?
I'm ready. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We have some updates with regard to academics and education. So our first one is our EF tour update. We received dates for our tour that's coming up. So we have 2 full bus loads at this point that are going on tour to Italy during the summer of 2026. We just received confirmation that our travel dates will be June 17th to June 23rd. We don't necessarily know the airport or anything else yet though. So that comes a little bit later. So flights will be confirmed about mid-April, beginning of May. We already have Mr. Wanamaker helping us out looking for buses to prepare for that, and then usually we follow up once we get a good price on a bus for the actual times that the flights will be leaving, what airport they'll be leaving from, and things like that. We expect it'll be Philly. But right now that's where we're at. So I just wanted to give that update. But we have 2 full bus loads of students excited to go.
How many students do you have?
I think I don't have the exact number because it fluctuates. I want to say we're over 50. I can't remember. I can look up the exact number on our spreadsheet, but I'm not off the top of my head. I want to say it's about that.
That's fabulous for the opportunity as a high school student to be able to go to Italy. That's great.
Yep, I can get you the exact number.
No, that's okay. I was
afterwards.
just wondering to know the participation level.
Yeah, we had enough to jump to our second bus. So this trip is very large.
Thank you.
No problem. Enough people to be chaperones?
Yes, so we have identified almost all of our chaperones at this point and confirmed them. We'll be starting to have our chaperone meeting. We're looking to have another family meeting coming up, probably November or early December, and then starting to do more fundraising opportunities to make sure that our students have the opportunity to pay for the trip as much as possible out of fundraising rather than out of pocket. So lots more information to kind of be rolled out.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Our next one is the career pathway update. So I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Pine for that and the math pilot update.
Sure. So yeah, just 2 updates. No motions to move forward from tonight's meeting. But the first thing is the career pathways update. We've been talking about this for about a year now. And mid-year last year, Curriculum Council really started working on this. And just to give you a recap of the background behind this, a lot of school districts have already moved towards career pathways models for the way that programming for students at the high school level is designed. And our school counselors do an amazing job of tapping into what students' interests are, what their career aspirations are, and making sure that they get those classes. But we haven't really had a formal structure that sort of designs around career clusters and encourages students to sort of get into the experiences and opportunities that would benefit them in pursuing those career clusters moving forward. So I do have LinkedIn here, and this will be in the notes as well. Just kind of some information on the pathways and the way that we're, I'm going to use the word marketing them, but promoting them to students, as well as some of the ways that we're sort of recommending certain electives that align well with each of those career pathways or clusters. One of the things that's important to note is that, by no means is a student coming into 9th grade and we're saying, well, you're going into health services, and so we're sending you down that pathway right now. We are encouraging them to stick with the pathway to a certain degree because it's been found that benefits a student, right? Much as when a student even at times goes to college and spends the first year not being sure what they're doing or changing a major, right? The idea of applying themselves to a discipline that aligns to their interests and their aptitudes is a good thing in general in the long run. You'll also see at the bottom of each of them We do have an area where we have started, but we're hoping to continue to grow out partner opportunities for seniors. And that was actually the other huge impetus for us to tackle this, was that over the past 3-4 years, we've had more and more situations that have required us to gather as high school administration, school counselors, district administration, and look at unique situations that were beginning to arise and becoming less and less unique and more common, where students were reaching senior year and we had to figure out how to make exceptions based on the way that their coursework was designed up until then in order to get them into those opportunities, like emerging health or animal sciences. And so right now we're trying to make sure that we're very clear, public, and open with students from the get-go about, hey, these are the things that we'd like you to think about looking forward to in the latter part of your high school career. And we want you to get those courses that you need now and to some degree then, of course, in order to make sure that those opportunities are open to you. So the second thing, and this is why I'm bringing this to you now, because this will be part of our bigger discussion of the program of studies when we bring that forward in a couple of months, is that this is going to be a more notable difference than we've seen in the past, where we're often making revisions, some changes to some of the policies and some of the procedures that we have for some things. This will really pretty significantly structurally change the experience of our students as they go through program planning at the high school. At the very bottom of that document, you'll see, I don't know if you can scroll down to the bottom of that. You'll see, and again, we've got a couple of models that we're working with on this, but this is to give you an idea of how a student's course planning, is there more into that? There it is, yeah. How a student's course planning might look when they sit down with their school counselor and they begin to map out what those requirements are throughout their 4 years, well, potentially 4 years at Northern Lehigh High School. One of the things that did come up throughout the course of this exploration is that we, as a school district, in our high school program of studies, not as part of policy or anything like that, but we have been requiring students to take excess of the state minimum requirements for social studies and for math right now. We've been requiring students to take 4 maths and 4 social studies as part of their 26 credits. This is one of the other changes that we're looking to make. We're looking to reduce that to the state minimum of 3, maintain 26 credits as the requirement, so students are still expected to meet the same credit requirements, but now if a student's career pathway is driving them towards science, they have more space to take a 4th science now, right? And potentially a 4th math. And so we do also have planned in there that while we're lowering those 4s to 3s for math and social studies, we are requiring that they do take an additional credit on top of the requirements, the 3, 3, 3, 4 for the cores, in one of math, science, or social studies, right? So they'll make a selection there based on their pathway and what makes the most sense for them in terms of their career aspirations. So I think I caught most of it, but Dr. Valley, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I don't think so. I think, just in the discussions we've had with our counselors and the kids, they're excited about, the direction, that this pathway, discussion and all the research that has been done is taking them. So I think we're excited. I think, as you said, a lot of the districts are moving into this direction for course selection and things that are going to propel them into their, the thing that they're most interested in.
Yeah, and I have to give a lot of credit to Curriculum Council, which includes our department leads, all at the secondary level, as well as our secondary administrators and school counselors. They really have driven a lot of this, and I think that they're also very excited about this more purposeful and more intentional way of approaching student programming.
So right now, LCTI students have a different credit requirement than students that aren't going to LCTI. Is that going to continue in this model, or is this basically the same thing same type of model.
It's actually a great way to look at it, and that was one of the things that we realized with emerging health, was that we had students who at one point were part of the traditional 4-year NLSD education, and then they were becoming LCTI students as they were going to emerging health, and so that was actually one of the ways that we were manipulating the credit requirements a little bit. So no, what we would actually be doing is all students would be at the same requirement that current LCTI students are at. Yeah, so we already do this for LCTI students. We already recognize that LCTI is providing them a career pathway, and we don't want to create a credit requirement that's restrictive upon that.
And just on the flip side of that, for those wanting to do either like a Division I sport or a Division II sport or an Ivy League school or any of those, are those all taken into consideration as well, that those classes are part of that as kind of prerequisites to get into some of those
Sure,
schools?
yeah. As we have right now with counseling, I mean, as students like post secondary sort of aspirations, obviously are part of their course selection. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, again, we would still be in this, I think, more intentionally framing that towards you really should be taking a fourth science if you're looking to go to Penn State's, med program, right? So pre-med program.
Yeah, and we also have the AP courses that are
Correct.
as part of that too.
Yeah, and the career clusters, I mean, like each cluster does span. It spans from the AP students, right, who are going to be taking AP and dual enrollment, to students who may not be, right, but may still be going into that career cluster, that area of interest. Not everyone becomes a heart surgeon who wants to go into medicine, right? I mean, like there's a wide variety of individuals, and so yeah, each of those clusters is trying to meet the needs of as many of those students as possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So we're very excited about this. This is just kind of a preview. Will be coming when we come with the program of studies, and you'll see how all of this fits into the broader sort of literature that supports student programming and scheduling at the high school. Okay, so if there's nothing else then, the math pilot update, I'll be quick about this. So I got back from a brief vacation today, and I had asked all the math teachers who were participating in the pilot before I left if they would mind, right, because I'm giving them a little bit of like breathing room right now as they're adjusting to it, if they would mind me coming around to each of the classrooms just to see everything. I'm very happy to say that the enthusiastic response was, please come. We're very excited about what's going on with our students. We're very excited about what's going on in the classroom. That is not to say that there aren't some concerns, some hesitations, some questions to work through. I'd be very disappointed if there weren't, if our teachers weren't sort of asking questions, which we're going to continue to have answered through some professional development through the rest of the semester. But it was really exciting getting around to most. I had 2-3 classrooms I was not able to get in just because of scheduling conflicts for where they were teaching math in the day. But I got into most classrooms. I can honestly say that just from my experience, I spent a decent amount of time at Slatington Elementary School. The level of student engagement and discourse is more. It's certainly more than with what we were working with before. The students do seem really excited. The math vocabulary they were using was very exciting to hear. I mean, they were saying words, and I was like, oh, I think I know what that means. So it was very, very impressive to see. And then that's actually all I have with that. I mean, I don't know if Mr. Schneiderite or Mr. Briner, if there's anything that you've seen other than that, but I just want to let you know that I got around to check on those. We'll have, I would think, by next month, more, a clearer picture. And right now we're about 2 to 3 weeks in, depending on when they started. So, yeah, I think we'll be more than warm by next month, more than warmed up, yeah.
Mrs. Culp, 60 people participating on the trip, not including our 2 trip leads and our chaperones.
That's great.
That includes some families, some parents as well.
That's great.
I think that's all.
Excellent. If there's nothing else from the committee, I'll close out our education committee and turn it over to Mrs. Husak.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open up policy committee and turn it to Dr. Soper.
Thank you very much. So we have several policies on the committee agenda for this evening. I've tried to group those in themes. So our first few policies, 102, 105, are related to academics. Does anyone have any questions on policy 102 or 105? Not hearing any questions, do we have the ability to move policies 102 and 105 forward for Monday night for a first reading? Yes. Thank you. Our next group of policies is what I would consider student activities and athletics. That's policy 122. There's a new policy, 122.1. If you flip over to the next page, policy 123, interscholastic athletics. Does anyone have questions on those three policies? Not hearing any questions, do we have the ability to move those three forward for a first reading on Monday night's board meeting? Yes. Okay, thank you. At this time, I believe, Mrs. Williams, you wanted to discuss a policy for parents as coaches. So I'll open that up to you.
Yes. I would like to see some kind of policy on self-defense. We do, I mean.
I think that's later on. I think this one was related to parents as coaches.
Oh, you know what? I didn't see that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't see you put that up there. Yes, it was brought to, we had a little discussion about coaches that are coaching the children on our sports. I would like to see some kind of policy that perhaps they cannot coach their own children. Like perhaps, like say if you're a coach and you're there and your student is like, you know, been there in a sport for 5 years and they come up to you, you can coach. But I see there's so many coaches that are coaching their own kids. And sometimes they do get special treatments. I just would like to see something discussed about that, because I know I'm not the only board member that feels that way, that, you know, a coach coaching their own student or their own child on a team shouldn't be. That's just.
So to clarify.
Yeah.
They can coach.
They can coach.
But not their own, right.
Right.
So if they're.
Right. But maybe have something in there, say if you were, say, a varsity coach, and your child is 8 years old and they've been playing for 5-6 years and they come to you now, I could see that. But I often see coaches that are moving up with their students. You know, they're in an elementary level and they're coaching their child, and then they move to the middle school, then they move to varsity level, and I just feel like sometimes there's favoritism. Not all the time, but just some kind of policy that, I mean, I know there are some school districts that do have that a coach cannot coach their own child. So that's kind of.
Is that paid coaches and volunteer coaches?
Yes, I think that's what we had discussed at.
That's what I thought. So.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, I'm just to clarify for myself.
Yeah.
So is that?
So it's something to look into.
So just for my own understanding, are you saying, right, because the younger children typically come up through the community sport associations.
Right.
So once they were transition into a school-sponsored sport, if the parent was already coaching for the school-sponsored sport, they would have to step.
For like I mean, this is something we could look at. So like, say, if you were, a basketball coach, a varsity basketball coach, and now your child is like in 3rd grade, and they're playing basketball, okay, and you're not coaching them, and they keep playing basketball for those years, and now when they reach that level where your father or mother is coaching that sport, I can understand that, but I've seen through the system, through the years, where, you have that parent who's now coaching their child in basketball, and then they move up every year with their child, and then all of a sudden, somehow, they're coaching and being a varsity coach.
And I think if I can clarify, it might start at the NLYAA level,
right?
And they're volunteers, they're coaching. Right. I mean, and I know volunteer in the community is probably the hardest thing to even get. So I can understand why the parents are coaching their own kids.
Right.
You know, it's a convenience to go to those, you know, practices, be their coach. But what you're saying is once they get up to the high school, the middle school, that they shouldn't be able to coach their own child at that point.
If they moved up with their child.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you know, if I was coaching my child in 3rd grade and now I kept coaching and kept coaching, now all of a sudden middle school comes and they need a middle school coach. And now I'm going to coach that, my daughter and her friends too. Then all of a sudden it gets to high school and now we need another, you know, see what I'm saying? You kept moving up with your student. But I mean, I'm sure there's policies out there that we could look at from other school districts that have that you cannot coach your own child.
I'm confused on the progression there.
What she's saying is.
Well, no, I
if they're
understand that.
Existing coaches.
I understand that,
And the
but,
child is younger and ends up moving up.
Yes,
Then it's
yes.
stay.
I mean, that's
but I
legit.
thought when we had talked about this at one other time, it was that at any level, if my son or daughter is in football, I cannot be a football coach, volunteer, or, that's what I'm looking at. I'm, you know,
Okay,
not,
okay.
I'm
Okay,
not
that's-
just considering
all right.
the move up. I'm also on the level that.
That's why we're
you know,
discussing
Both
it.
ways for
Yeah.
You know, because there is favoritism when it comes to
I see it the other
those
way
levels.
too. I mean, there's the potential of favoritism, but there's the other way that there's a struggle for the student athlete and also for the parent who's trying to help out. It could be the other way too, just as much as sometimes sometimes you'll see the coach not be quite as favorable of their son or daughter, and could be the other way. So not putting that into perspective, right? But I think it makes it difficult on the student athlete as well as the parent to have the potential of that connection happening. It also allows for the student to have a different perspective and be able to separate a parent versus a coach. Really, truly, if you think about a 24 or 48-hour rule, if something happens on the field and you're not happy about it, our coaches are asking for that 24 or 48 hours. If you have a parent-coach opportunity, that happens in the car ride home, which... It's giving you a benefit of the doubt, but you know, so I think there has to be some of that for the learning ability of a student athlete and figuring out, you know, if something did really go wrong, really to have that 24, 48 hours to sit back, think about what happened, and not have mom or dad yelling at them because whatever happened, right? So I am for at least looking at the policy. I don't know if that's possible. I know there was some thoughts and considerations about legality of that. But I am for not allowing that.
Is there any way we could find out how many head coaches and assistant coaches do have a child that they're coaching? Like, how, do we have like 5 in the district? Do we have 6 or 8? Like, it's something that, you know, because I know it was mentioned that, you know, it is hard to get volunteers. You know, so it's like, I don't want to see those coaches leave, you know, and we can't get somebody. So it is kind of a, you know, it's like you want to do it, but then it's like, can we get somebody to fill that spot now because you can't coach because your child's on the team? I mean, I don't want that to be
I'd
taken.
like to reiterate with that. But
You know.
we are a very small community. We would love it if we had 3 sport athletes. Kids are involved all the time.
Mhm.
I love the fact that we should have more teachers as coaches because having a coach in the building helps everyone so much more.
Okay.
If we lean into the direction of not allowing that to happen, we're going to disband teachers from being parents in the community to rise up and go and be coaches as well. So I'd like to urge some caution with that if we're trying to build community and then taking actions to actually disband it at the same time. I understand there's some frustrations with maybe some decisions of people and their choices with their children. I'm not going to be a parent to other parents, but I don't want to remove that opportunity from our community from someone that could be coming in, because I don't think a whole lot of coaches are knocking down our doors, but we are a small community that we can take pride in that at the same time. So just some caution with some feelings that go along with that.
It was just something to look at. Because, you hear it all the time, it's, the favoritism, and it happens. And then sometimes it's not even the favoritism towards their daughter or son, it's also their friends. And it's just, and then it's not fair to the other students because there's nothing you can do. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how great of an athlete you are, if that coach,
Doesn't like you, you're done.
You're done, yeah. And I think we lose students that way also. I've been there. I've seen it.
Isn't it up to the coach to pick his staff? I mean, doesn't the head coach say, I want you and you to be my assistants, you can be my volunteer, and that would be taking that opportunity away from the coach, really, to pick his own people, which I'm not real comfortable with. And then, like you say, somebody coached football for 5 years, and all of a sudden they have to stop because their son comes up. I don't know where you draw the line. Is it a year? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? And I know this is going to blow people's mind, but I remember when I went to school, there was actually 3 kids in my class whose parents taught them. And it's like, oh my goodness, and if that doesn't cause bias or anything, but there were 3 of them. I had 3 kids whose parents taught me in school. So I don't know where you draw the line. If you say coaches can't and parents can't teach their own kids, they can't teach math this year. I'm wondering where this is going and how you stop it in a small district. Maybe if you're Allentown and you have a whole bunch of people volunteer, that's a different story. I mean, every year I hear, and I wish what's her name was here, that we had people, trying to fill positions that we can't. And by further restricting that policy, that fill of people, I don't see how we're helping our student athletes in the long run. That's just my feeling. I don't know.
Well, you just won't have the student athletes. They just don't come out.
If I can just ask, because administration's going to need to work, if you're asking us to bring something back, right, we'll bring something back. I share many of the same concerns that are happening, that are being brought forth about restricting the candidate pool. Well, what do we do with the coaches that are already on staff? I have concerns about that. But my question is, what are we going to do when we're talking about things like our theater department, our band? Are we just going to signal out parents that want to coach their children in athletics, or is this now going to expand to paid or volunteer people that are leading our young, people in the theater department, or people that are coming up through our musical program? So I just, how I'm looking for some rails for administration to work within here with what the request is.
Can I interject too? Because I think there's another piece to that. So knowing that this was on the agenda, I reached out to PSBA to ask if there is a policy in this realm. There's not a policy that PSBA pushes out in this realm. However, if you want to write your own policy as a district, you can, working with your solicitor. Their recommendation would be not to write a policy in this realm, but if this is something that the board would like to move forward with to make it an AR, I just wanted to share the recommendations of PSBA in that realm.
So thank you, Dr. Stoker. So do you want us to work on bringing information back to you that's specific to sports or specific to all these opportunities? And I also believe, I'll open it up I'll go back to the committee chair, Mrs. Husak. I believe Mr. Hauser in the audience wanted to make he's not on the list, but usually we defer to the chairperson to open it up to community members.
Thank you. Just an idea, because I think Mrs. Williams is spot on that this is an issue. And I think Mr. Van Norman is spot on that we are a community of particular size. And it would be wonderful to see more teachers and parents involved in as much as we possibly can. I personally believe that this could be rectified through a more stringent evaluation process. Maybe we take a look at the measures by which coaches are evaluated. Is it a rubric style? Is there clear domains like there are for teachers? This is a public school district, and I think coaches can have a similar process for that, where if those are considerations, the evaluation can be reflected accordingly, and then decisions can be made whether or not to continue with a particular coach. This way, no one is excluded, but there are clear standards of conduct and practice that go into that position, and that could also go into the extracurriculars that Dr. Link, I think, was very correct to bring up, because this will actually touch that as well.
And I do know that, if we've had any issues in the past with anyone that's on the board agenda for approval, we could have those discussions to determine whether we want to approve them or not. So, it's really ultimately when they're on the agendas, we can decide then whether they should be approved or not.
Are volunteer coaches evaluated?
Not volunteers, unpaid.
And to me, that has been an issue for a long period of time. Parents, as volunteers, favor their child, and it really makes an impact. I've known a number of students in soccer and other teams that never came back the second year because of a coach promoting their son or their daughter. And that's where I come in with that. But there needs to be some evaluation of that then. If we don't, and I agree with you about the policy that is very limiting it, that we may not be able to do that, but I really think that there needs to be some sort of guidance to the head coaches to make sure they maintain that their assistant coaches are not encouraging them to promote their child. Because it happens, it happens.
So then I'm going to ask the question. If we're talking as well about volunteers for sports, then we're going to restrict their ability to work with student athletes, people in the theater department, people in the band, if that's the direction you want us to go. And now we're talking about volunteers. Are we talking about the volunteers that come in and help with academics in our classrooms?
No.
Are we talking about volunteers in, because they're also volunteers, and they're working in classrooms that may also have their children in them, or volunteering at an event going on at a school. I visited Peters Elementary School a couple of weeks ago, and I saw one of the most amazing events, which was the fun run based on all of the parent participation. They're volunteers. So I just want to make sure that administration, that we know what you really want us to look at, or are we just looking at a very narrow scope of parents that want to be involved?
I was looking at pretty much coaching, like the sports part of it. I didn't know there was a problem with band or theater.
I don't think there is a problem.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know there was favoritism in those things. So I pretty much was just looking at the sports issue.
I'm looking at it through
a different lens,
an administrative lens, through a governance lens of, we're talking about groups of people that want to come in and work in our schools to help children do great things. But now, it's almost like we are, if this is the way that the board wants to go, that we could potentially be signaling out one set of type of parents only. Only those that want to be involved with. We're putting potential restrictions on parents that may want to be coaches, but we're not necessarily putting restrictions on those that want to help out whenever, we have our band competitions, who have children in the band. Or volunteers, whatever the setting, whatever the context is. Lot of very valid questions and concerns coming up. We just need to know how narrow or how broad do you want this to go? Because this is, I have concerns if we go this direction. I just want to make sure, and we will do whatever the board governs us to do with coming back with information for you.
No,
I just have concerns with
I
this.
just brought it to the committee meeting just to talk about it. That's why we're here. We don't have to take it any further, but at least we can say we discussed it.
Absolutely, and we are happy to get the information. I just want to know what information,
You know.
how broad do you want us to go? And I think, I'll look to Mrs. Husak. I think Mr. Williams had his hand up first, and then we'll go to Mr. King.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, in regards to the having a small community and a smaller barrel to pick from, or volunteers come forward to help coach, in the same respect, there are kids, we herald the three sport athlete, and we like when kids are involved in sports, band, and cheering, and theater, but there are Little League students in the district who don't bother going out for these things because they know they won't get a fair shake. And they're gonna put all the time in and all the effort in as much as the other kids, all they're gonna get is a little bench underneath their butt because they just know they won't get a fair shake.
That's a good perspective to share. And again, we're absolutely ready to look at all of this. Just want us to know, where do you really want us to look? Is it just sports, or is it all the ways parents come into the buildings to help children, whether it's paid or volunteer? But you raise another valid angle to look at it as well. Maybe it's actually deterring some young people from getting involved. Yeah, Mr. King.
I think you bring up really good points because you open yourself up to, at what point does it end at either band, theater, wherever. There's any point in the district you could sit there and say there may be favoritism. There are some students that have a right to be angry that sit there and say, well, I should have got more playing time. But it's not also parents. It could be coaches that don't even have a student in the district that still make some questionable calls that will play the same 5 players for basketball all season long and not touch other kids sitting on the bench. It had nothing to do with the parent. It just was questionable decisions that were made during that whole basketball season. No one came to the board and sat here and complained about it. It was just questionable decisions that were made by the coach. Ultimately, if you play this out to the end of it, it comes down to equal opportunity time for every student that wants to sign up and play football or basketball or whatever. And unfortunately, at some point, whether it's the high school or college level, not everybody's going to be a great athlete, and someone may just be upset that the other parent may be the coach, but they get more playing time. There's no good way to write that policy, and unfortunately, it's something I think the district needs to be very, very careful with how they start going down that road, because you're going to turn coaches away that are great coaches that may volunteer their time and say, we're going to leave and go to a different district, or we're going to stay involved more with a travel league rather than play at the high school level. Or you may lose athletes that are very committed to what they do, and their parents coach, and they may also go play at that travel league. It's just, and you may handicap yourself of not having a sports program anymore because all of the athletes and all of the coaches went elsewhere to play, or theater or band or whatever. So it's a policy that there's no good answer for whatsoever.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mrs. Bender.
So I think I can speak to this from a unique position, being a volunteer in a lot of things here for Northern Lehigh. I love to work for free, I don't know, but
We appreciate it.
in all honesty, it is an issue that we've encountered from a PTO standpoint. We have had parent volunteers who thought they could just go visit their child and hang out with their child. We've had parent volunteers that didn't stay where we asked them to stay and just followed their kid around all day. So it is something that will occur at every level. Now, as the PTO, that's not what we want our organization to be, so we've created a volunteer code of conduct and guidelines that we ask people to sign, and we have actually told people, I'm sorry, but you cannot volunteer again because you weren't able to follow your code of conduct. Obviously, it's a lot easier for us to police something like that in a setting like a PTO event than it would be to monitor what every single coach or volunteer is doing. As a volunteer youth coach, this is a situation that kind of also hits home for me. I have been approached by middle school and high school parents asking if I'm moving up with my child. I have no idea. I didn't think that far ahead. But some parents are telling me, oh, I hope you do. And other parents, from the tone, I can tell they hope I don't. And I think that's just the nature of coaching. Some people will like your coaching, some people won't. You're never going to please everyone. But in that parent-child coaching relationship, it's both a privilege and a curse. Because it is very different to be your child's coach when you are your child's parent. And I'm constantly policing myself in how I interact with my own children when I'm coaching them. At the same time, I also am policing myself to make sure that I'm not favoring my child. And sometimes that favoritism isn't even necessarily favoritism, it's we don't have anyone ready to sub, and I'm not gonna get in trouble if my kid almost passes out from heat stroke. But if it's someone else's kid, then the parent's gonna come to complain to me. So I might leave my kid in longer than I probably should to avoid backlash from another parent. So it's not always necessarily real favoritism. At the same time, I would love for my daughter to play field hockey for anyone else, even if it's just for a season. Because I also realize that as a coach, I have one way of teaching and one way of, conveying skills and things. And there's so many other coaches out there that coach differently and teach differently and have knowledge in other areas that I don't have. And so, would it be ideal for me to coach my child all the way from kindergarten through high school? Absolutely not. But I'm also fully aware that there's a shortage of people lined up to apply for field hockey coaches in this district. And if the situation arose where there wasn't a coach, before I would allow an entire group of girls to not be able to play, I would do the job. Now I'm coaching my child again. Like, is it ideal? No. But at the same time, is it worse for there not to be a coach? I mean, if I look at the sports that my kids are in, varsity soccer, junior high soccer, baseball, field hockey, there are parent coaches in all of these sports. What happens when all of them have to leave? As far as I know, there's not a long list of people applying for coaching positions in a tiny, 1 and 2A school district. It's not exactly a hot commodity job and part of the reason is that the community isn't really behind the coaches. And I don't feel that coaches are supported the way that they necessarily should be. Are there terrible coaches? Absolutely. But I think 95% of coaches are trying really hard to do what's best for everybody. And it's not a walk in the park.
Thank you.
Maybe we should not worry about a policy. And maybe we need to do, I don't want to say a code of conduct or particularly, but maybe we need some guidelines that go out to our volunteer coaches, through our head coach maybe, whatever, to let them know that there are certain things that you should not be doing. I would hope that it would be common sense, but it's not. So maybe we need just to have a guideline or a procedure put in place that is there. And if a head coach or someone else sees that a volunteer coach is not following those things, maybe it's up to him or her, if not the board, then to say, you're done coaching. And I know, because I agree, we don't have, in anything, we don't have volunteers out there anymore. And I don't want to do that. I really would not want to do that. But I would like to see some guidance. That's what I'm saying.
And we can also work on just bringing back guidelines, or what are often referred to as an administrative regulation in AR.
I would like
But
to see that.
just for clarity again.
Just on sports right now.
Yeah, but
Hold on,
where do you draw the line, Gary? That's my point.
Mr. Green, if I may.
When you start down that slippery slope, I don't know how you in here.
The question originally was coaches.
Yes.
Correct? So that was the original question. We can narrow it to that scope if that's the will of this committee. But is it coaches? Because now, Mr. Fedorcha, you were very specific to volunteer coaches, but I think the original question was any coach, paid or volunteer, if I'm interpreting the original concern correctly, and I want to make sure that I am. So so would the guidelines then be written for all people?
I like the idea of the code of conduct. In any sport, even for the competitive cheer, I was a team mom. I had to sign a code of conduct to make sure that I was following guidelines. And if I didn't do something right, that was a reason for them to remove me. So like that would be our guideline to evaluate even, you know, like if you put these certain things in there and they are breaching that, then it's your reason to say we can no longer, you know, utilize you. So I think that it could be as simple as that.
But who enforces it?
It would be the athletic directors and the head coaches, or you know whoever's in that realm to supervise that.
But that should be their position, not a board position.
Right. It would be. It would be
Even
theirs.
if we had a guideline, it would be their position.
It would be
up to
theirs.
them
Yeah.
to
It would
do
be
it.
something.
Not
I mean, I don't know. Do
No.
we have anything that is a code of conduct for coaches? Do we have anything? So that would be the beginning for them to have that and use it instead of just the evaluation process.
Matt, just a question.
And I look, are we still, okay.
I would do the two, I saw two hands, let's do those two hands and then.
I was just thinking, the code of conduct, I came from a biddy league, and all the coaches, including volunteer coaches, had to sign a code of conduct. And some of it was simple as, if you are coaching your own child and you are showing favoritism, if you are the volunteer, it went to the coach. If it was the coach, it went to, at that time, was the league supervisor, which probably would be the
AD.
yeah. So it was a very simple code of conduct. It wasn't anything serious, but it was a set of guidelines that said, when you volunteer as a volunteer in this school district, you are not going to badmouth players. You're not. There's just a list of simple things that you sign saying, and then there's accountability to say, well, we can't really do anything about it because we don't have guidelines set in place. And it can be something super, super simple that it's just every volunteer, when you come in and you're signing up for a volunteer, you write your name at the bottom of the paper, that paper then stands.
Right,
And it
and
can
then
be for any volunteers.
And if a parent has complaints over that particular matter, it can go back to it, then someone can evaluate and see if they're seeing this kind of behavior and then go forward with any action, disciplinary or whatever it
And I
might
mean, it
be.
could be just for a volunteer in general. It doesn't have
Correct,
to be.
yep.
I agree with that, and Matt, as far as what you're saying is, I don't think it is a board issue at the earlier level anyway. But we do have an AD who is in charge of that, and that's where those concerns should go. When I was saying guidelines and so forth, I'm on the same
Yeah.
level with what you're saying.
It can be very simple. It doesn't need to be in an excuse, but it's just a piece of paper saying, you signed this, you knew what you were getting into. That way you're not deterring people, but you also know you cannot show favoritism to a child if you're coaching your own child. It's in black and white, so if you're being called up on it, the coach can't get resolution of it, it can go a little step further, and then it keeps the board out of it, but it gives people accountability if they sign it.
Just as soon as there was another hand up too.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add, like, if you're gonna put it out there for paper and says coaches and other things, like, he had mentioned for theater and band, I think same type of thing. I know, like, coaches is a big, you want your player, but the same thing, like in theater, you want them to have a better part, or the this or that, so the same type of thing. So
Yeah. I agree with that.
blanket for everyone, and it would just be out there for everyone, so they can't say, well, they don't do it in theater, or they don't do it in band, they just do it in sports. That way, it's a level playing field.
So I agree.
Doctor, do you have enough information to go ahead and at least try to put something together, maybe potentially even have it legally reviewed? Because there has the potential that what we're asking for gets us into a legal position of something, which is different. So
Absolutely. Like keeping it away from the policy.
but keeping it away from policy, but more towards a code of conduct
Yeah.
conversation or agreement or something in that regard. Is that correct? Is that enough, or do you need additional direction?
It's enough to get us started. I'm certain that we will have more questions and more conversation. By the way, this is a very good conversation. I'm glad that we're having it. It's enough for us to get started and bring information back to all of you. keeping in mind that the next time we have a policy committee meeting will be January, because there's no committee meetings in December, so that should give us time to draft something, have it legally reviewed, and then bring it back to committee.
There was a question earlier, and I don't know if this is easier or not, Dr. Link, is how many coaches currently exist on staff? And when we say coaches in this regard, let's think broad, right? Theater, band, coaches, whatever it is, that we believe are parents of a current student that they would either supervise or coach in that capacity, which gets really hard, right? Because if we find out that there's one, to have a discussion, it's like, really?
Yeah.
But if we're talking about 75, maybe that discussion's a little bit different, right? So I don't know how hard or easy that is.
We can drill into that, and we'll frame it as in any activity, right? Not just coaches. We certainly have enough to look into.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I'm going to defer to Mrs. Husak. There was one last question or comment.
Go ahead.
I guess it's small. I think part of also of this discussion is the continuity of programs where adults or parents are stepping in as coaches, and they coach the exact amount of years that their child is in the sport to get them front and center, and as soon as their child moves on, they step out. And we never see them again.
What Angela was saying, that following your child.
They're community available at the exact time period that their student is, their child is there, and then they're removed from the situation. So there's no continuity of chorus, sports, theater, or whatever. There's no year after year to year development of programs.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if we discussed moving the policies, though, to the board level for Monday night for a first reading, knowing that we'll bring this back for just later discussion.
We were good up to 123. All the policies above that were good. We okayed those.
Okay, so we're good
So we're
there?
back to policy 209.2.
All right.
So we have to keep going through 209.2 and 918. Any questions on those?
So can I, for diabetes, for the diabetes management one, I can do this pretty quickly. I do want to just point to the requirement now is to post on our website the type 1 diabetes fact sheet for entering students. So that would typically be kindergartners. Sometimes you get a student who jumps right into first grade. So it would be at Peters, and then it has to happen again for 6th grade students, which is Slatington. So we did get that information up on here. So you'll see a fact sheet. It's tiny, but on Peters. And then you'll see also under the first day forms, there's a type 1 diabetes fact sheet at the Slatington. So just know that those are posted publicly. Those will be updated as necessary. Any questions on diabetes management? Okay, do we have the ability to move that one forward for Monday night for a first reading?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to thank our nurses for their work on that. Policy 918, Title I Parent and Family Engagement. This is a policy that we look at annually just as part of what we do for Title I. There's no updates to this policy. The only thing is that PSBA typically makes recommendations for policy updates based on law, case law, things that happen at that level. They're finding a lot of information now coming back from monitors. So when monitors are going out to monitor for Title I on their cyclical monitoring, they're coming back and having findings in different districts, and then they want more and more and more in the policy or in the way that we handle things. So that's all this is that the monitors are giving, PDE monitors are giving feedback. PSBA is saying it's good practice to follow this feedback so that we're tighter with what we're doing. So we're just going to follow those recommendations. I have to thank Mr. Schneiderite and Mr. Briner. They really do a nice job making the compact that we have with parents and all of the paperwork that we have to be compliant. So we do, I would say, a very nice job with our family engagement meetings, especially in the spring, when we have many of our parents, some of which are here this evening, that come and give us feedback on those documents to make sure that they're in line with connecting families with our school. So that's really not a policy update, but just more information on there's some things that we have to attach now to this policy to being compliant, knowing monitoring is coming up. Okay, any questions on that? That does not need to be moved to Monday night. All right, and then the last item on here for discussion, Mrs. Williams, self-defense policy.
I've been doing some research on a self-defense policy, and I do realize that most schools don't have a self-defense policy. But I do believe we should be discussing the bullying that is happening here in our community. Last month at a committee meeting, we had discussion here of a student getting attacked, and they were reprimanded because they defended themselves. This past week, I'm sure most of you know, another person, another young teenager, got attacked by a group of students. I mean, 2 attacks in 2 months. And I understand this attack did not happen on school grounds or during school hours. It's concerning. I really do think we need to look at our zero tolerance policy, because I feel like it's giving the student that's taking I don't like to say the beating or the brunt of the fighting, and they fight back, they're just as guilty. And I disagree with that. At what point do you allow somebody to beat you up? And if you can't get help? I mean, I just don't understand how you cannot defend yourself, and when you do, you get in trouble. I mean, it breaks my heart. I mean, I hear these kids, I'm listening. I am listening to the community. I'm listening to the students and the parents that my kid got punched in the stomach and just stood there. And then 3 days later, the school calls me and blah, 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 blah. I mean, at what point does just a child just have to say, I don't want to get hit no more? Oh, the school will take care of it. You have to be able to defend yourself without getting in trouble. I mean, and nowadays, I believe we have video. I mean, people are taping it. I mean, you can see if somebody was innocent or not. If you were walking down the street or just sitting there and somebody just comes up and starts hitting you, you're just supposed to stand there and take it? Are you supposed to just let them bloody you? I mean, and then the minute you fight back, now you're guilty and you're gonna get suspended, or you're gonna get, we have to look at each case, and if there is video, to really say, that student that just defended themselves, they should not have got suspended. They should have not. Something has to give, because our bullying policy, honestly, it's not working. It's not. I mean, I'm reading the parents' messages saying, hey, I pulled my child out. My child's going to this charter school. I pulled him out. And then we want to know, I just don't understand what is going on. We need to try to do better. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel if a student needs to fight back, they should have a right to. And what are we teaching our students, especially a young lady? Not to fight back, so now she becomes an adult and she gets attacked at her car. She's not supposed to fight back? I mean, we have to figure out, we have to help our students, the innocent students that, like I said, that are just getting, hit or smacked. And they do stand there. And they do take it, and I feel for them. So I really do think we should look at our policy somewhere. And and they do have a legal right. I mean, I was reading, I was looking at some laws. It does say here, students, like all individuals, have the legal right to protect themselves from physical harm or imminent danger. I mean, you can research this. I mean, we have policy, yes. But the law also protects our students. So at some point, some parents are going to really start to step up and start fighting back. So I guess what I'm asking, and I understand we probably cannot have a self-defense policy, but we need something that will protect the student that is innocent. I hope that makes sense.
Does that capture?
By looking at our current
Probably
policy.
would be looking at our bullying policy or something, yes.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because I understand we can't, I mean, I did do some research after I said about a self-defense policy. Most school districts don't have a self-defense policy, but I do think the zero tolerance policy is what prevents the student that does get attacked and cannot fight back. I'm not sure.
Like, is there, does it leave?
Share the PSBA recommendation, because again, seeing this on the agenda, I reached out to them. So they said that they do not have this policy. They don't know of any districts that have a self-defense policy per se. That what I was assuming that you may have talked about this evening is covered under code of conduct, or maybe like an anti-bullying type of policy, and that typically self-defense is handled within like a student handbook, and obviously administrative discretion in handling discipline. So the PSBA essentially said there's no policy that they have, or no recommendation that they had for writing one or an AR.
Right, I understand it, but we have to probably maybe look at rewriting something where I'm disagreeing, like I said. Now, don't get me wrong, and I believe each fight or situation should be looked at, because it could happen that somebody comes and says, hey, I'm going to hit you, and then you say, oh, I'm going to hit you back, go ahead, hit me. That, if you're that kind of confrontation, yeah, I don't agree with. But I don't agree with somebody who is just minding their own business and gets attacked and cannot fight back, because if they fight back, then they're disciplined. Did you see where? So I don't know what policy that would be. Like, what are we looking at, or taking words out or adding words, or I don't know where that would be in our policies.
I think we can absolutely, and we've been talking about this since last month, look at policies, but I really think the work that's going to affect the change that I believe you and many people want to see is actually going to be in the handbook level.
Okay.
And I think that if we were to because remember, the handbooks are board approved. So if you would like us to put in potential revised language, we'll bring it back here, and then those handbooks would have to be approved again, or an addendum would have to be approved to the handbooks. And we can bring back we can bring back a continuum from current language to where it's there's a lot of leeway with how it can be addressed through a discipline lens. So we can absolutely do that. We've actually been having, as recently as today, these conversations. But it's going to be, we also want to make sure that whatever language we put in there captures the intent of, we don't want it to be that anything goes.
Right, no,
Right.
I just said that.
Right,
No,
yeah.
I just said that.
So we're working through that. We can
Okay.
pull handbooks from other districts as well. But yes, we can work on this.
And honestly, I mean, you got video cameras all over the campus here, inside, and even with the attack that happened, I mean, look at the Walmarport police are asking, hey, does anybody have video? I mean, there are video. So people are recording. I mean, people got Ring cameras, people got their cell phones. So what I'm saying is eventually when there is an attack, you need to look at that. But when, we, the board members, when we looked at, to me, what happened back a couple months ago, it clearly showed. And I just feel bad that, that the student just, sitting there and somebody just comes up and starts hitting them while they were minding their own business. That is completely wrong. But if there was confrontation with both girls, maybe would have been yelling at each other or something, there's a different story, and you would have to look at it, and I'm sure you do it now. But clearly, everything is on video, so when each fight or whatever bullying arises, it's going to be there. I mean, somewhere.
So we can absolutely
Yeah.
Continue to look at code of conduct and code of conduct within student handbooks.
Right.
Bring that back. We can also look at any relevant policies that are in place.
And it's still something like, teachers and principals, you can still say, it's not tolerated, but if you're, it's just something you can't, like you can't go start that fight. I mean, it still has to be, bullying has to be stopped, but we also need to protect the innocent. So that's just what I'm trying, and it's going to be a touchy situation to prove and look at, but I think we just need to protect the innocent.
So we will do that, and we will have that back. We'll shoot to bring those back for January as well.
I just want to make one comment, and I don't want to see a policy that's so restrictive or so defining that our administrative team, that I have a lot of faith and confidence in, cannot do what they need to do to uphold what is happening. I have faith in our teachers, I have faith in our administrative team, that when these incidents occur, as you said, there are cameras, there are witnesses, there are people seeing it. I think there's often two sides to every story, and I have faith and confidence that they will investigate it and they will come back with the right answer in the majority of the times. And I don't want to tie their hands to the point where they just have to let riots go on in the hall and aren't able to do anything because, well, I'm just defending myself. I don't want to swing, again, a policy too far that restricts our people from doing their job. So
I don't think you understand what I'm getting
that's,
at.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't think you understand what I'm getting at. I'm not saying.
I understand
a free-
exactly what you're getting
No,
at. I don't
no,
think
I'm
you
not saying go ahead
understand,
and
I don't think you
fight.
understand school policy. And school policy says it's up to our administrative
That's what-
team to investigate that. That's what they're here for. That's what they're paid for. And that's
So
what
I guess you're
it's for.
saying it's okay if a student's sitting there.
So administration has its direction.
I think so.
And we can absolutely bring this back for further conversation. I think this is, absolutely should be looked at, and we will absolutely bring it back. And I look forward to continuing the conversation in January. I will note here that one of our audience members, one member, had signed up and looked like he would like to speak on this topic as well. Is there another sheet out there? Mr. Krajicek, can you look to see if there's another sheet out there? Bring it up to the table, please. Mr. Williams, you look like you had indicated as well.
Yes, I did. I just think it's worthwhile looking at the policy. It's not, if you have a car full of paper and you go at 10 miles an hour with the speed limit, the one who's going on the speed limit is the one driving. Everybody else in the car, it's not their fault. You can follow that analogy. It's not always both parties that instigate these bullying type issues. And it's been going on. I have been seeing this on Facebook for years. And I just can't believe that it still continues to go on. And unfortunately, more often than not, what I'm hearing from parents in the community is that, okay, everybody that was involved got in-school suspension, and this kid's going to go in this direction, but if you don't want this to happen to your child, maybe you should consider outsourcing their education to a charter school or Bulldog Academy and go the online homeschool way. And we're just removing, it just seems, in what I've been seeing and what I've been talking to people, the child that's innocent is removed from the situation via the Bulldog Academy homeschool way, instead of actually taking on the problem itself. And I sincerely hope that there's maybe we were first the ones to have the lunch and learn thing. Maybe we can be the first ones in the state to write a policy on bullying and have it comprehensive.
We have an anti-bullying
We do have one.
policy. We have one.
We do have one.
That works.
Well, makes it.
We do have a policy.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mrs. Fick also signed up under policy.
Would I be permitted to use the podium to actually have something prepared?
And I'll look to, sure.
So I would like to start. Everyone here knows that I'm the parent of the student that was attacked here in September. So I'd like to start with the key principles of self-defense being imminent threat, which is immediate and instantaneous, a reasonable belief of danger, use of proportional force, meaning the response is not excessive for the situation. And in fact, Pennsylvania laws closely align with Florida's stand your ground law, giving full freedom to take any means necessary to protect yourself. And the final key principle is that you are not the aggressor. So speaking from experience, from a policy perspective, as I mentioned when I was here last month, I feel that it is very important that the victim be permitted time out of school, not as punishment, but time to heal, to feel safe to return to school, and maybe consideration for arrangements for whatever time would be needed on a case-by-case basis, depending on the severity of the situation. Victim of assault is a traumatic experience for the victim, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And consideration for counseling may be needed as well. Additionally, punishment for both parties should not be equal. The attacker and the victim both cited for fighting and both suspended. That position was taken and held using justification as the students having to be separated. But I'd like you to think about how you would feel being the victim, having been attacked, not by one individual, but encountered by a gang. The victim goes into fear and goes into survival mode, and my guess would be that probably didn't even have eyes open. And the victim does not know who is grabbing her or him. There's a lot of yelling, there's commotion, they're scared, terrified, again, survival mode. And somebody is grabbing you from the back, trying to pull you away. You don't know, is that an accomplice of the aggressor? We taught our child that you don't stop until you're 100% sure you're safe. So in the instance of having to pull them apart, my feeling is for those reasons. As you had mentioned, you know, two kids in the hall, they bump into each other. They exchange words, they egg each other on, they start swinging. That's a fight. What happened to my daughter was a malicious, premeditated assault, and there's a distinct difference. And while the need for policy change is important, there's also another immediate concern that needs to be addressed this evening. As you mentioned, the altercation that took place on trick-or-treat night. The girl that was assaulted by the same group of girls that assaulted my daughter. You could take away one of the accomplices, add one of the accomplices, but the main characters were the same. They're intimidated, they bullied, and they assaulted this defenseless girl in the same way, confronting, surrounding, phones on record. This time it was 4-on-1, with many cheering it on, and of course filming the event once again. This time they took turns beating this girl, sometimes 2 at a time. She was pinned in the bushes against a chain link fence, and they took turns striking her to the point where one of the assailants actually ripped away the assailant that was currently striking the girl so that she could have her turn. They then pinned her to the ground, and the crowd starts yelling, "Stomp her," and they did. They kicked her in her head, they stomped her in her head. These details are hard to hear, and imagine having to watch it, and it's your daughter, or your sister, or your friend. The victim of this latest assault walked away with cuts and bruises, as well as a concussion, and she was very fortunate it wasn't worse. This gang of bullies and aggressors bullied their latest victim for close to a year. Allegedly, this bullying was reported to the school, but was unanswered, unresolved. I don't know what the situation was, but the victim did ultimately go to cyber school in an effort to escape the harassment that she was enduring, and she did her best to avoid this group. But as with my daughter, they had it set in their mind they were going to fight. So they caught up with her trick-or-treat night, and they did what they wanted to do. And I believe that this group takes pleasure in what they're doing. They have no compassion for their victims. They have no remorse. They have no fear of punishment because what punishment? They have a history of bullying several others, as many parents have reached out and said that they have experienced similar accounts of bullying with this very same group, but only recently has this escalated to the point of assault. And with this recent attack, it is getting more vicious and more severe. And as you pointed out, this is the second attack in less than 2 months, and again, becoming increasingly vicious and violent. And yet they all continue to roam the halls of this school and continue to harass and bully and try to intimidate my daughter every chance they can. And I'm sure there are others that they are bullying and intimidating as well. There isn't a doubt in my mind that they will attack someone again. Could it be our daughter again? It could be somebody else. But the next time could be even more severe. I believe that action needs to be taken before the next victim is targeted, more seriously injured, or an irate parent takes matters in their own hands. Certain forms of bullying can also be considered assault, but they have gone well beyond bullying, and their behavior needs to be stopped. Although the recent attack did not take place on school grounds or during school hours, with the obligation of the school having to provide a safe environment, I feel that some sort of discipline needs to be considered because this same group already committed assault on school grounds. Their presence at school puts every student at risk of potential violence. The history is there, and there is a pattern of behavioral issues that is disgusting and that are extremely concerning and worsening in severity. There is a pattern and there is a problem. Have there been any discussions with the parents of the members of this group other than advising of a so-called fight and suspension? Under those terms, the parents may not even be aware of the seriousness of the actions their children are doing. Do they know of the long history of bullying and the multiple targets? Do they know that their behavior and actions are trending very unfavorably and the potential of someone being seriously injured or worse is possible and probable? Do they understand that these were planned assaults on their victims, not just a random school fight? If not, then I think the time is now. If the parents can't keep these violent offenders and their entourage under control, then something needs to be done or someone needs to intervene that can. Consideration for Kids Peace, for which my understanding is the school can make a referral and a recommendation. Community service and even expulsion. We as parents do enough worrying about our children every time they leave the house, and we know that unexpected things can happen. But right now, there is a known threat, and it has to be dealt with for the sake of every child in this school and every child that just wants to be a kid in their neighborhood. If the school doesn't want to take any action, there are other ways we can make our voices heard. This is about the safety of our children, and this out-of-control behavior should not and will not be tolerated. And I don't want to wait until there's a next time. And I have here, this was just something that I found while I was writing. This is actually in Oklahoma, where a teenager was arrested for raping multiple high school girls, one victim so brutally that she required neck surgery. And doctors said she was just 30 seconds from being killed. But despite being convicted and facing time behind bars, he won't serve a single day because he is protected by a youthful offender status. And I think that's what keeps these, and this gang, and I call them a gang because that is how they operate. I think that's what keeps them motivated to continue to intimidate and threaten and bully, because they're juveniles and they feel they can get away with it. So I feel that, again, with it being this same group, that something seriously needs to be considered as far as disciplinary action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fick. And I will just share with you, we are going to reconsider all of this within the means that we are allowed to do as a school district administration. And our school district police department is working very closely with the Walnut Port Police Department, assisting in their investigation. And we want them to do that to the greatest extent possible. Thank you for sharing that this evening. I know it was not easy for you.
I thought there was another name, I'm sorry. I could be wrong.
Not on
Somebody
policy.
had a hand up.
Not on policy. Oh,
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it, I wasn't going to. When I left here, I wanted to ride off into the sunset and be quiet, and I just can't because my kid's coming through here. That's horrific. A couple elephants in the room that need to be discussed. And I'm gonna get a little fired up here. Thing one, you can't prevent this stuff through education if you don't have the staff and the scheduling to do it. The student supports that existed in certain buildings have been crippled due to staffing adjustments that have been made, budgetary decisions. Again, it's hard decisions. The stuff that I saw at the middle school is right in line with that, and I was very limited in what I was able to do, particularly in the last year. That's why I resigned, and I'm just tired of seeing it, because we had good educational Tier 1 proactive student supports that we just can't implement because everyone is wound so tight in some of our buildings who are professionals teaching here that they don't have time to breathe because they got 100, 125 kids in front of them every day, 5 periods a day. God forbid they have time to make copies, and now we're supposed to put all this other stuff in. I'm supposed to teach them positive behavior support and essential skills and all this and that. The board needs to spend some money on people. Taxpayers got to be okay with it. Second thing, we are weak on how we do expulsions. A fight, typically on a first offense, is 3 days out and a citation. Second offense can depend on the context. That's what I enforced. I think it's age appropriate for middle school because it's a cooling off period. They're children, they're going to mess up. I think a first offense should have an educational component. You start getting into 2 and 3 offenses of physical altercations or threats, we have to start putting some teeth into an expulsion policy because I see the same things that Mrs. Fick just talked about. It's ridiculous. We have a school district where a kid can smoke weed in class and 10 days later they're back. It's absurd. We have $18 million in the bank. I get it, you expel a kid, there are a whole lot of issues that go with that, and there's cost. I think the board needs to consider how we absorb those costs, and parents, we need to be okay with it. If we want to fix some of the problems, we have to be able to foot the bill when tough decisions need to be made. I'm gonna be really fired up when my youngest son gets to middle school and a kid smokes weed in math class next to him, and in 10 days, that kid is back. It's absurd. And the same goes for some of these issues of violence that we're having. That's all I have to say on that. Please consider it food for thought.
Any other comments or questions from the board at this time?
I'm sorry, did I miss somebody? I apologize.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Lee.
It's all good. Just wanted to kind of comment back to the bullying too. We do need to look into calming down the bullying. As many of you know, when I was in restoration, I did do trauma jobs. I had a lot of jobs that were teenagers that committed suicide because of bullying. I don't want to see that here. So we do need to look at the bullying situation more because that does happen. That's all I want.
Thank you. Thank you for the great conversation this evening on policy. A lot of hard decisions coming our way. No other comments. We will go ahead and close policy, and I will turn it over to Mrs. Williams.
And I will open the Community Relations Committee meeting. And I'm not too sure, let's talk about the parade.
Sure, thank you, Mrs. Williams. I just wanted to put out there that we partnered with Slatington Borough for the recent Halloween parade, community Halloween parade. All indicators that we received is that it went well as far as how the school district was involved with it. And we know that it's likely we're gonna receive that request again, likely for the next 2 years, maybe 3 years, as they could do the construction work. I am recommending that we continue to allow them to use our parking lot, Bulldog Lane, up in between the middle school and high school for that parade. If the request comes again, the feedback I received from Chief Jones was also, that, yeah, it went well. Feedback I received from Mr. Mann was that our buildings and grounds were in, there was some small litter that's to be expected after a parade. But for the most part, everybody really kind of respected the property. And I'm going to recommend that if the request comes in again, that we agree to do that. And I just want to make sure that this committee was okay with that, because I anticipate getting it at least 2 more times.
Yeah, as long as they, keep the litter under control, because I know, as things get more lax with parades, the candy throwing, the litter, it gets pretty bad. So, depending on who that ends up falling on for cleanup and all that, that would be my only concern. Otherwise, I think it's great and it's good for the community.
No destruction of property and so
Correct,
forth.
yeah.
That's, if it happens, then we stop it.
Right.
But I think until then, it's
Right.
fair that we do that for our community.
All right, that's the direction we will take then. The next agenda item comes from Mrs. Angela Williams, one of our board members here on the committee, a discussion on the word dog in the district mascot.
Yes, so unfortunately, we are going to be discussing something that people think is so ridiculous. But I just need some clarification, okay? I'm not too sure where it started or who put it out there, but using the word DAWG, some people agree it's okay, some people don't like it. I think it's ridiculous that saying our students or faculty shouldn't be using the word dog. I just need some clarification because, like I said, I got some feedback from some people. I just don't know where it came from that we shouldn't be using the word, gold dog or 1, 2, 3 dogs. Now we got to say 1, 2, 3 bulldogs. So, where did this start and who started that we shouldn't be using the word DAWG?
Sure, so I'm happy to comment on that. As you recall, recently, we had the district seal put up here. We had this up. I actually said at one point on our letterhead, is there something more academic we could have that's representative of, home of the Bulldogs, Northern Lehigh School District? This image was already in existence, and having this go on letterhead, but not taking away from athletics. The mascot is the Bulldog.
Okay, we're talking the word dog. I was going to talk about the mascot in my next thing. So I'm asking about the word dog.
Okay, so.
The seal, the mascot
So
is
sure.
my other discussion.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
sorry.
Yes, I encourage that on official paperwork, we're using the words bulldog,
Okay.
okay, which is different than dog,
Okay.
more of an academic sense. I understand that the word go dog, it happens at the college level, it happens at the K-12 level, but when we're putting out official documentation, I think we ought to use the word bulldog.
Agreed. So, I've
The
heard.
comment on the 1, 2, 3 bulldog, that's the first I'm hearing about that.
Okay, no.
Okay.
I've heard some coaches said something about that. I also heard like, so if a student, at a sporting event, say a cheerleader, wanted to write the word go dog, D-A-W-G on, would she be allowed to go out and cheer during her sporting event? Or would she need to take that off? I've heard things like, some faculties, I guess you might have casual blue and white day or whatever, and they wear a shirt that might say, go dog, or a bulldog. And they're saying, it's being said it's inappropriate to wear. What else am I, let's see. What about, even our art class? What if somebody wanted to draw, things are being drawn on walls and stuff. If somebody would want to write, put a nice picture of a bulldog and write, go dogs, would that be allowed?
On official district letterhead.
No,
things-
I'm not talking letterhead.
So, listen, Mrs. Williams, there's been no directive that a person cannot paint their face. If it was, it did not come from
And
this
that
level.
was, okay.
So I'll look, but I'm gonna look to our buildings administrators that are in the weeds of this.
So using the word dogs, D-A-W-G-S, is still acceptable.
So if
and not going to be changed in any way. I think that's what the community wants to know.
Yes, and that's what they, yes.
They want
Maybe
to use
spirit wear. If I make up some T-shirts and I write, go dogs, and
They
then
want their
and
posters
they're
to
walking,
still
they're-
have dogs on it.
Right. If
Yeah.
students are allowed to wear it in school,
There was
if
no-
teachers are allowed to wear it in school, are they allowed to wear go dogs?
There is no directive that says the word dog is not allowed in Northern Lehigh School District.
Okay.
What we are saying is, we are an academic institution. We are putting formal things out. Let's use the word bulldog, which is the actual mascot.
Right, so I'm okay with all the academic stuff, letterhead, putting the bulldog, it's just in this sports realm where the mascot is the bulldog and they want to reference, go dog,
Lady dog.
that they don't feel like they're not allowed to do that anymore.
Even in the newspaper, our female sports, our basketball teams,
Or lady dogs.
they identify them as lady dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be
Lady
honest.
dogs, yeah.
I mean,
It's
that
on-
is just,
it's
it
on
may
their
be slang,
shirts.
but it's
Right.
used, and it's okay. But I agree with you on a professional level,
Right.
that is
Right.
not acceptable. I
Right.
agree with that.
Right.
I love that emblem for our administrative to use, to put on letterheads, to put on, professional documents and stuff. But the community is concerned that there's going to be a complete switchover from what
Not
our
being able to use it.
I think they can both.
sports logos
Yeah.
are.
They're not incompatible words, right? They can both be used.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when we're going out for professional presentations, when we are in a boardroom, when we are doing these type of things, let's spell the actual word, which is the mascot. We have jackets that have the NL Bulldog logo on it. Why isn't it all okay, especially on the context? Right? It's very contextual.
I think it's okay that you have that, and then, if you want to put.
And we have one like Mr. Mann
Yeah,
is
like,
wearing.
let me see yours, Mr. Mann.
It's the same as
Oh,
this.
yeah, oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, I'm okay with that. If, some administrators want to have that, or if it's a thing that's, given out to the teachers or whatever, but the other apparel that they want to create for themselves, they should be able to use the logos that.
But even when the drawings come out for like the spirit wear, that's the student body.
Right,
Like, okay,
right.
if the association wants to do a fundraiser that has something on it that they are doing the fundraiser for, that's for the association. That's
Yep.
absolutely fine.
Yep.
What we're saying is when we're putting out professional context, we should actually spell the word out.
I agree with that. I just, from what I'm hearing is that some people are being told that they shouldn't be using the word DAWGS. So that is my concern. My concern is that it's slowly being phased out underneath our noses to the symbol. I'll get more to the mascot thing. That's what I'm just concerned. I just want to keep the tradition. I mean, and we don't use dogs a lot, but I just think it's, to hear so-and-so couldn't do it, they were told they weren't allowed to do it, and then now I'm hearing, I never heard of this before. I mean, I just want to put it to rest. The public, you're allowed to use DAWGS. We're going to save your dogs. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure we had clarification, and it can be published on Facebook. Now, in regards to the mascot.
So if I may,
Oh, go ahead.
but I will always advocate for,
Bulldogs.
I will always advocate for, this is an academic institution at its core, right? And we should be able to use the word bulldog when we're putting out professional content.
That's not what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
I understand that. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. But you kind of flipping kind of what I'm saying, but that's okay. Okay, you want to discuss the mascot? So the mascot situation, heard that it is too scary. I started Googling this. Okay, now, no, seriously, I started Googling this. Please do your research. This is what I found. There is a nationwide movement to remove what are considered scary or offensive high school mascots. This push is led by organizations like the American Psychological Association and the National Congress of American Indians, alongside activists, and has resulted in a growing number of states and schools changing their mascots to be more inclusive. While some communities resist the change, citing tradition or other priorities, the overall trend shows a significant push toward eliminating these mascots. And I mean, it's not just a bulldog. It's panthers. It's just all these other scary animals. It's not just us. But it's kind of concerning because, all of a sudden I see the seal, and I did my research that the seal, yes, the seal is used, and on like, let's see, I have it here. Like letterhead, legal documents, professional things, yes. But the mascot is also our identity. It's our community. So what I'm saying is I just don't want to see the bulldog go away. Nobody sees it go away. And now we have the seal. So, we got the seals in here, but eventually are we going to have the seals on the banners out on Bulldog Lane? Are we going to have the seals on our new scoreboards? Is the bulldog going to slowly phase away and nobody's going to know about it? And you're going to wonder, where did it go? So I just wanted clarification that we're not losing the bulldog, and he's not too scary, and he's here to stay.
There is, sure.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I'm just trying to put the public's comments to.
The mascot of Northern Lehigh School District is a bulldog.
Yes.
And it's here to stay.
And it's here to stay.
There is no talk of changing a bulldog on the stadium.
Okay.
Or
Banners?
anything like that.
Okay.
No banners, no. The bulldog is the mascot. There's no.
And he's not too scary?
He does look a little buff and angry sometimes.
Okay,
right?
but that's scary.
Yeah. So is that he does, right? Which is awesome for athletics and sports. But I do think when we put it out on something like this,
Right.
I would use the seal. And I
Right.
advocate for that strongly.
Yes.
Because it's two
Yes.
different contexts.
Yes, and I saw you change you put the seal on the handbooks. I agree, but I just want to make sure we're not slipping the bulldog away and then the seal is here. That's kind of what I'm.
No, in fact, within the last couple of years, there was a bulldog statue added to the
Yes,
stadium.
that's, so like I said, I just want to clarify this to the public, The bulldog's not going away, and the word dog is not going away.
And there's several variations of the bulldog, right, at Peters Elementary School.
Right,
Sometimes the
right, yes.
bulldog looks more like a puppy.
Yes.
I think that's
fine.
appropriate for K to
Yes.
2.
We got
Age appropriate, yes.
pups, we got the.
Yeah, the pups, yeah.
Pups.
Are we done?
So that's, you know, why can't they both be
I'd like to move to adjourn.
in the district and used in the most relevant context?
And that's what I think we just want to make sure
Yes.
that it still remains in the district. You know, for the community, I've seen so much on Facebook, and the community wants to keep the bulldog. They like the bulldog, and you know, they want to use the word dogs, and I don't see a problem with that. There's actually a history to the bulldog as the mascot, believe it or not. I learned that on Facebook. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a
We
question?
do have three community members that want to speak under community relations. We have Mrs. Bender, Mr. Hauser, and Mr. Williams.
I don't need to speak now that there's been clarification. Had there continued to be no clarification, I would have had something to say, but we're good. We can all go home.
I move to adjourn.
Well, hold on, we still have two other people. Mr. Hauser is also signed up, and then Mr. Williams.
I got a statement here I would appreciate to be heard, as I've sat here for 3 hours listening to everyone else. So, a couple things I want to get clear. I was taking lead over the last month on the Facebook campaign to draw attention to this. Even ordered myself a brand new shirt. No, they are not for sale. But what is on my shirt is the original Bulldog logo from 1967. And you can see he's looking kind of gruff and grumpy, rolling up his sleeve to go take care of business. And I wanted to draw attention to this because, and I'm going to burn some bridges, it is what it is. There absolutely has been a phase out. I'm not going to say there's been a directive. It's subtle. And I don't like it. I can't stand it. I'm a bulldog through and through. I'm one for a reason, and this is one of those things that just irked me and just got me the wrong way, and I can't keep my mouth shut. For the record, there are many more pressing things that we need to discuss than logos and letters. But we cannot let our community traditions and the things that we take pride in and the things that make us love it here go by the wayside because we have bigger and better things. So, again, I think it is quietly being erased. This seal is absolutely in the vein of the original district seal from as far back as 1886. Okay? It absolutely is. The seal was designed by the same person who designed the current district branding. People who are advocating for the DAWGS and the kind of saving the current logo are not saying we cannot use this, but I feel this is replacement and not embellishment, and I find that to be wrong. Northern Lehigh and the DAWG is not just words or images, the symbols of who we are. Northern Lehigh did not always know who it was. Before we were Bulldogs, we were Tigers, Warriors, Blue Raiders, and Slaters. We changed mascots as the school community changed until we found our way in 1967 through district consolidation and the Bulldog arrived, and there were a lot of other factors that went on there. The Bulldog on my shirt is tough, determined, sleeves rolled up, ready to get to work. He's a reflection of Slatington and Walnut-Port and Washington Township's grit and pride in the community. It's hard to exactly determine where DAWGS got its start, but all evidence points to the late 70s and early 80s when Go Dogs rose to national prominence following universities, professional sports, and pop culture. Like many high schools with a Bulldog mascot, we adopted it as our own, and we infused it not just into sports, but also academics. To say that this is an academic logo and other logos are not is absurd. And on my Facebook campaign, I made a nice little web series teaching myself how to use AI at the same time to fight absurdity with absurdity. The dogs wasn't a branding campaign, it wasn't approved by a school board, it was authentic. And then student groups took it and ran with it, particularly our high school girls made it their own. Our girls' teams in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s had called themselves the Slaterettes. And when the Bulldog came to Northern Lehigh, they followed suit and became the Bulldogettes. But that name does not have the same ring to it, so they just went with the Bulldogs, kind of losing their own individual identity. When Go Dogs started coming into district publications in the early 80s, specifically in yearbooks in the student newspaper, and in murals and designs and on spirit wear, the Lady Dogs were born. And the Northern Lehigh Lady Dogs, for decades, almost 45 years, have been a brand and a symbol of excellence unique to us. It makes us stand out in the area. And that is how real traditions are born: pride, ownership, and community voice. Dogs became part of our shared language and not a replacement for bulldogs. There is no one who is advocating for this spelling and the angry bulldog logo who wants to see the bulldog and the seal replaced. We want this to be able to last as a tradition, as it was for us when we were younger. It's been on spirit wear, youth sports jerseys, booster club shirts, and social media posts. I was told DAWGS sends the wrong message because we are an academic institution. My children wear that spelling on their jerseys. That's a slap in the face to me. And then when I heard at one of our football games, one of our young ladies had Go Dogs written in face paint upon her and she was told to wash it off, I knew I could not keep quiet anymore because something was disappearing. Throughout the last few years, social media posts have been edited to remove dogs. Uniforms are beginning to be redesigned. Some still say Lady Dogs, but some that have been replaced now say Lady Bulldogs. I agree, diplomas, formal correspondence, this is the way to go, but it's not exactly happening that way. Similar actions are happening with our logo. I was directed to use the district seal on more things because the bulldog looked too angry and too aggressive. I find that absurd. And what's really concerning, the change is being done in slices, bit by bit, like Mrs. Williams described, until it's no longer there and no one noticed along the way. I've heard that the argument DAWGS does not reflect who we are as a place of learning, like we don't know how to spell. And I have heard that there is concern about how the spelling makes us learn to others. The word dogs is not a spelling error, it is a choice. Why would we send the message to our students that we need to change who we are because someone else disapproves? Are we to teach our children that what matters most is how others view you? Plenty of highly regarded academic institutions use alternate spellings of mascots. When we quietly erase traditions that generations built, even small ones like a couple of letters or a mascot image, we send the message that our own community identity is something to be corrected and not celebrated. So let's be honest, dogs does not make us look uneducated, it makes us look connected. That's who Northern Lehigh is. Much of our community's identity has faded in recent years, and many of us are trying to step up and rebuild it. Removing DAWGS or the Bulldog logo only pushes more of our identity and school spirit to the past, and that no one wants to see. Employees have been told to avoid wearing apparel that featured the angry bulldog. The original bulldog was meant to look tough, determined, resilient. It's not aggression, it's character. I'm not here to say we abandon bulldogs. I agree, that's the name that is there first, that's the official, that's what we should be. But I'm asking that we honor both. If the bulldog logo and the spelling dogs is part of our community, then the school district must embrace that and not try to tear down traditions so that new ones who are more favorable to onlookers and not us come in as replacements. We can be a district that values tradition, celebrates community pride, and still upholds academic excellence. Those ideas are not in conflict. We don't need to censor students, alumni, or staff who use dogs. We don't need to edit our history in the name of appearances. We need to be proud of who we are and let community spirit show, like the bulldog, with our sleeves rolled up, ready to take care of business. Because if you live here long enough, you know we are bulldogs. We always say goodbye with go dogs, and our story does not need revision. Thank you. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. And there is Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams.
Go dogs, like you see my dog.
Thank you, everyone, for the conversation this
I just
evening.
have one question. What about us Slaters? What about us? You took our identity away and became Bulldogs.
You got rid of the Blue Raiders, and
I don't know. I'm a Slater. I'm not a Bulldog.
So am I, Matt, but
So-
not from here.
So I'll look to Mrs. Williams as committee chair.
Well, first of all, I just hope that the community heard everything, and we're keeping the dogs, and we're keeping our mascots, so hopefully that puts that to rest. So I would like to close the meeting for the community relations.
Thank you, Mrs.
All right?
And I'll stop my AI videos.
Oh, no, keep them going. Keep them going, man. Keep them going.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, there you go.
It's already done. We need one.